He's here now. Shh.
Aye.
Don't say anything. Shh.
We'll talk about it. Have you not got a beard for tonight's that show, Darren? No.
he's like the wee boy, isn't he? He's like the wee boy out of the three.
In my mug that I brought back from Berlin that I've never actually used before, and I thought, right, I've got to put beer in it this time. But ironically, it only holds like half a can of beer. Well.
Really?
Yeah, see, you need a nice big glass, don't you?
I'm saying nothing. Look, I got one of these tiny wee cans. Right.
That's the same size a can. It's one of these Goose IPA things, right? But
this is the trend thing now, isn't it? One of these tiny little wee cans. I'm sure cans of beer used to be a lot bigger than this. See, look, Ian's got a proper can of beer. Look.
Yeah, proper sized. You think it's a proper can of beer, right? But it's a Schofferhofer, right?
Oh, you smell that stuff.
Easy for you to say.
And a Schofferhofer is a grapefruit beer. So actually, it's probably far more poincier than your two cans. Do you know what I mean?
Right, I'll open mine. Let's see if this one explodes.
There we go.
No, we're all right. We're all. Oh, hang on.
Oh.
Look at that, look.
Sort away. Happy days.
Look at the size of the heat in that. You putting a flake in that?
It's a wheat beer. That's what these things happen, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? All right. Aye. It's nothing to do with the bad barman skills there, no?
No, not at all, no. Absolutely not.
Right, boys. Let's start. Happy Hogmanay to you.
Happy Hogmanay. Cheers.
Slange. Here's to your health.
Slange. Here's to 2023.
Absolutely. Yes. Speaking of which, what's your plans? What's the plans for 2023 then for you boys?
Well, hopefully my boy will pass his test, but he's been scuppered umpteen times at the moment.
Why is that? What? Because of COVID and everything like that?
Weather. So his Mod 1 booked and that was ice. And he's supposed to do his Mod 1 again today, but because he's filming, they changed the schedule yesterday. So he had to cancel his Mod 1 for today. So and then once he passes that, then the world will be our welk, you know. So, our first trip's over to Ireland, I think, we'll see our brother, but take the long way around, you know.
Happy days.
Get him used to his wee bobber, you know, it's quite a big bike to be fair for your first bike, you know what I mean? So, that's kind of plans for that, I think, and then hopefully just do lots more things on the bike with the boy once he passes, you know. Brilliant.
But yourself, Dan?
Well, this year I had all set out. North Coast 500 was getting was getting the proper treatment. Bought the book, bought the map, thought, right, I'm going to do this properly. I'm going to pinpoint every single, let's do it absolutely, rather than blasting it within a couple of days, let's do it properly and map it all out. And then somebody put up a tour online. And I thought, that just takes the ball ache right out it. That seems like a better option. Let's just do that. And then that way I can spend other time doing other stuff, which is quite good. So, So I'm obviously doing your Flying Scotsman, which would be quite cool.
I've got to admit, I was a little bit puzzled. Very happy, obviously, but a little bit puzzled why the Scottish guy was coming on the Scotland tour. I was like, can you not do that like any weekend? It's like out your back door.
I know, it's the Picos one would be ideal. That would be the one, because you know what the roads at Picos are like. They're just, you can absolutely have so much fun down there, but it's just the thought of travelling all the way down there. Do you know what I mean? If I was going to do that, I might as well stay Toro or something like that and just go and spend time in London and just chill out at the villa. So I thought, no, let's do that. And then that way, at least, I'm in the vicinity and I get to know Simon's input on the roads in my backyard. And then it means anytime I want to go and do them, I know there'll be good roads to get in.
Definitely. I did this one with Simon in August, I think it was. August of last year, just gone. I've not edited the video yet, but I took a group away and we did this one. I got to admit, I thought, well, I'm going to have done everything, but it'll be good to do it with a group of people. And there was still a couple of roads there. In fact, there was more than a couple. There's quite a few roads I'd never, ever done before. And I was like, I've lived in Scotland for so long and then been riding up there for so long. And I'm like, I've never would have thought of riding around these parts or taking that little road. And it's like, oh, wow. So, yeah, hopefully you'll get a few new gems to you.
Aye. A couple.
Looking forward to that one.
Then that way I've got an Arsenal and Ian when JB's ready to go. Like,
exactly.
Right, boy,
Use your new camera, Darren.
Oh, I know.
What one did you get?
I got the X3.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a saga. I wasn't going to buy an X3 because I thought that's a lot of money to pay for a camera. And then my Ghost 4K died. Absolutely died.
Did it?
I completely gave up the Ghost. I just packed in, and obviously I bought it through. I didn't buy it direct for drift. I bought it through a vendor, and then went back to them, and they said, "Listen, it's fine. We'll send it back and see." Turns out it's an internal battery error.
Right.
But we don't stock that 4K anymore, so we can do the XL. I thought, well, the XL's an enclosed case.
Mm-hmm.
An enclosed case. I much rather like the idea of having a couple of batteries. You can just swap the battery out and away you go.
Aye.
And then they're like, the XL's just as good. The only thing is it's 50 quid extra, so you do is 50 quid. There's like, no, you're all right. No, thanks. No. And then that's when I thought, well, that's money back in my bank. X3 would also wind Ian up because I know he really wants one.
I know. I've just got an X2.
So, aye.
I've not tried the X3. I've got the X2 as well, and I'd bought the 1X before it.
I've got that as well. Yeah,
I thought the 1X was good.
Yep.
But the X2's amazing, isn't it? I think that's the only camera. It's the only action style camera I think I've ever owned where I've not had any issues with it. But the only thing is I don't use it for audio. I just use it purely as a like a B-roll type thing.
I know. I bought the audio adapter thing for it with the the kind of side audio, but it didn't make that much difference.
Right.
Unless you start adding kind of quite fancy mics and things on it. And then that defeats the purpose of the whole invisible selfie stick and getting that sense because you see wee bits and bobs of that. So it's brilliant for video. Although low light for me, I think is probably where it fails a bit in low light situations, whereas the X3 is supposed to be way better in low light conditions. So
I think that's the only big difference, that and the screen on the back.
That's right. Yeah, it's got quite a large LCD screen, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's about 2 inches.
The screen's great on it. Yeah, the screen's brilliant.
6 inches. It's about 6 inches. I think that's the only. I think the rest of it's pretty much the same as the X2 because I think I'd watched a whole load of stuff. And all that. If you've got an X2, jump into the X3. Do you know what I mean? It would just be for having the latest gadget and having a slightly bigger sensor. But if depending on what you're doing with it, it's not really worth it. I thought,
I did come close to doing it though. And
I'm not installing you will do it.
No, but then I took that mad Boxing Day, spend the money you've been given to you by family on something totally random and non-bike related. But I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to buy a saxophone because that's what you do. You know what I mean? That's what you do. Never played it before in my life, but hey ho, give it a go. Do you know what I mean?
And how are you getting on with it?
I can do the first 4 notes of Baker Street.
Oh, give us a little tune. Come on.
I would love to, but to be fair, I don't know if the subwoofers could take it right now.
Right, Ian. Next time you come on.
For the next one. That's it.
Next time I want full rendition.
That was it. Absolutely. Brilliant.
As long as you don't start playing Kenny G, you'll be all right.
Oh.
That was clarinet, wasn't it? Or was he a saxophone?
No, he was saxophone, but I think he did he played an alto sax, not an alto sax, a soprano sax. So, right. Which looks like a clarinet. Yeah, there you go.
Thanks. Dig me out of that one. Cheers.
There you go. Nice. That's fine. No, you're close enough. That's fine.
Boys, you've probably figured this out. I've got no plan for this. This is just us, cutting the shit, basically getting the crack. So, if you're happy with that,
given the fact, you were kind of trapped in it last night or yesterday, poor Vanessa. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
We'll not slag her off, but shocking, love, shocking.
Although she's apparently, I've got the boys from Trail and Adventure podcast. They're coming on in March. So I was chatting with them, and she's doing their podcast tonight, I think.
Right.
So I was like, oh, all right, okay. No, not tonight. Was it? It is tonight. Oh, all right, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, double booking.
That's it.
Well, I've posted up on my socials anyway on Patreon. I posted on Instagram, but I also thought I posted on Facebook, but it looks like it hasn't posted on Facebook. So we've got some questions on Patreon, and I think there's 1 or 2 on Instagram. But we've got some stuff to mull through. And then I just thought we can have a chat and see what the year holds for you boys and what you've been up to.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
By the way,
happy days.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Yeah, good
right.
stuff.
We'll go with the first one then over on Patreon. So over to the clan, patreon.com/TeapotOne. Sorry if I'm not quite with it, folks. I'm just getting over man flu at the moment. First one, Brett Cunningham. What is your most favourite motorcycle to ride and why? And where is the best place you've ridden?
Good question. But I've not ridden that many motorcycles, to be fair. Different ones I've sat in a lot, especially when we were down in Birmingham recently at the old Birmingham Live and all that. So that was quite interesting. And I suffer from short leg syndrome, so there's a lot of bikes I want to ride. Like I was watching your YouTube in Spain on the
tractors,
the 1250s, right? On the BMW site, it looked amazing. And then I went, I'm just going to go and Google the seat height and looked at the seat height and went, I'm never sitting in one of them. Do you know what I mean? So so I think
Ian, how tall are or what's your inside leg?
29.
Mate, you'll be fine. You honestly, you'll be absolutely fine. They even do a lowered version of it. There's a lower seat version, but they also do an actual physical lowered bike for it. They do a lowered version of the GS. And honestly, I've little username Kate. She rides the GS. I know loads of vertically challenged people who've said exactly what you said, and then they found that they can actually get on the GS. Not just that, loads of adventure bikes, big adventure bikes.
Yeah, I took the Pan America out and dropped it because which was fun. Because just basically that adaptive ride height didn't go down quick enough, and I had to do an emergency stop on a hill on a camber. Do you know what I mean? That'll do it. That was just like ticked every single box. Thankfully, the Pan America belonged to Harley Davidson themselves. And actually, to be fair to that bike, there wasn't a scratch on it. You know what I mean? So I just picked up and carried on.
And a nasty dent in the road.
Yeah, and it was great fun. So I think if I could find an adventure bike that I feel comfortable on with my legs, then absolutely something like the BMW, especially after watching that and doing it in Spain where you were, was just looked incredible, and going a wee bit of off road or it's not off road. Yes, it is. That wee chorus was funny.
That's not off road.
I know. That could be your next T-shirt. No, it's not off road.
It's funny you should say that.
And so probably get one that I'm comfortable on and taking that for a ride is probably what I would like to do next in terms of the bikes that I've ridden on or had a shot on. In terms of just pure raw brown adrenaline, my Ninja, my old kind of I think it was like an S-plate Ninja that I had for a few years. That was just raw fun, But I'm too old for that shape now. My belly gets in the way. I can't bend down.
Rubbish! Come on, rubbish! So, turn the clock back.
Sat in a few bikes. Then I was kind of bending over, going, "Wow, that's worse than trying to tie my laces."
I know that feeling.
One of the bikes I loved sitting on though in Birmingham was the Indian, not the Bobber Scout, but what was it, Darren? The big one with the kind of Batman front.
Oh, the Rogue, I think that was.
Rogue, I think, yeah. That just felt right somehow. So, maybe try and get across to see if I can get a shot of one of them.
Indians are beautiful, aren't they? Those Indian bikes are just stunning. I've still not edited the video yet, but I took out the, is it the Chief? The Indian Chief? I can't remember. It was about March time last year I took this out, and I've still not edited the bloody video. But what really got me was the technology in it. Because it looks like a classic style bike, doesn't it? And the dials and everything, when you look at it, you think, everything fits in. But the dial it's an LCD touchscreen screen. Everything's there. The technology's beautiful. And the engine, wow, that engine was gorgeous. Loved it.
Yeah, we've been talking about we've been going for my Spice Girl moment. So I've currently got two bikes. I might just go Spice Girls and go two becomes one. So that could be this year is taking two bikes and just to bring them back to one again.
Really?
So that'll be a bit of fun searching for the one. Searching for the one.
You'll never find it. We never find it, do we?
No, we do. No. Essentially for that one for just now.
Yeah, for now. For the now. It'll do. It'll do for the now.
But I've only got one bum, so what do I need 2 bikes for? So that's it.
That's too much like logic. I don't understand. No, I'm not getting.
I'm just saying that in case my wife's listening. That's all.
Exactly. I was just thinking, is this you or your wife talking? What's happening here?
Yeah, just in case she's listening, just keep it good. There we go. And where do you take it? Sorry, Darren, I was going to say is just all over Ireland, north and south. Wow. Just anywhere over there, down to Kinsale and Cork and up by the Ring of Kerry and up and round up past up through Galway up to Donegal and back round. Just a big tour of Ireland, I think probably.
Yeah, nice.
Because not only does that sound nice, it's kind of doable. Do you know what you could go away and do bits of that, on a whim. So just jumping down to Stranraer and Ryan and just across.
Ireland's on my radar as well, but I've just not got the time or the money at the moment to do it. But I'll make it happen. It'll happen at some point. What about yourself, Darren?
I don't know. I always think this is a difficult question because I think it depends A, what road you're on, and B, what your kind of mood is at the time. And right now, I'm loving my pan. But again, that's just because I'm at the point now where I know the bike and I know just how much abuse it can take. Do you know what I mean? And then if that doesn't feel, you stick it in that sport mode and it's just a hooligan. And that's before we've done anything to the bike. There's a Dawn Performance upgrade thing for it, which apparently gives it an extra 20 brake horsepower, which is just going to be absolutely killer. So I think it depends on that. I loved riding. I had an 850 GSA. I loved riding that thing. That thing was just so much fun. It was just the only difficulty with that was moving it about because it's that parallel twin. It's not the Boxer. It was really front heavy when you were trying to lug it a bit. So I don't know. For the new, I do like the pan. I think this year or last year, sorry, I took it to Benelli 800, the trail bike. And that was just such a giggle because you could literally use pretty much all of that range and it gripped. Even though it had knobblies on it, it still had really good grip on it. And you could just absolutely tank it. I was really surprised at that. It was such a good laugh. I think if I was buying a second bike just to pure hooliganize, I'd probably look at something like that because they were dirt cheap just for absolutely tanking it. I think that's been probably one of my favourite bikes so far.
You're not the first person I've heard say that. I've never ridden a Benelli, any Benelli, and a couple of people now have said to me when they've taken any of the Benellis out, they're like they've just enjoyed it. They said it's great fun. Exactly what you said. It's not going to break the bank with the money, and they just had great fun on the thing.
I think I never went there to take out a Benelli. I had contacted our local kind of Royal Enfield dealer. I went to take out the 401. The Scram 401 or 411, can't remember what one is. But I took that out first, and then when I come back, I was waiting to go on the Meteor because everybody said, "Oh, you need to take the Meteor out," and it's just for all it's not got tons of power. It's just a really nice bike. It's got that little pop. It's just so much fun. But obviously, the bike was out, and the guy went, "Oh, you should try that Benelli, that new 800." I was like, "Okay, give me the keys, I'll take it." So took it out, took it a blast, and I was like, I didn't want to key it back. I was like, this is so much fun. It's just such a great little bike. The only criticism I had was just one, it didn't have a quick shifter, and two, it didn't have self-cancelling indicators. But looking at it and going, for that price bracket, can you really complain? Do you know what I mean? You cannot complain. But I mean, again, it depends on what you're taking it out for. If I only had a bike, take it a little half-hour blast on twisties, I'd buy a live wire.
Would you?
Just for the sheer thrill. I loved it. But the only thing is after half an hour, you're like, oh, my back. Because it's quite, you are quite far over.
Yeah, but it's definitely one of the electric bikes that made me feel like it was something different. You know what I mean? Like it felt like a Harley, although it felt nothing like a Harley. I still felt like I was on something apart from like your Zeros and your Energicas and all this sort of things. It just felt like a different machine.
Aye,
Yeah.
I think I'm going to change that. See the question, right? The question was, "What's your favourite bike?" I'm going to say that I think my favourite type of bike is definitely an adventure bike, because I think if it's not my pan, I loved my GSA, right? And I took out the Tiger, the GT Pro this year, and it's just buttery smooth as well.
Aye.
And 1250 GS, you know what you're getting with 1250 GS. It's just, do you know what I mean? So I think my favourite type of a bike at the minute is probably an adventure bike. You know what I mean? Come back to me in 5 years' time, you know what I mean? I'll probably be cutting about in a lowrider ST or something stupid. You know what I mean? Acting my fucking age.
I am quite excited about a lowrider ST. I'll definitely be considering that if I go 2-1. Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
You're going to use your money in the bank for that then?
You know,
I've not ridden that. I've not ridden. Have I? No, I've not ridden the lowrider. I do.
Barely anybody's ridden a lowrider ST because they're really difficult to get. Because all the dealerships are getting them in and then they're going straight back out the door again because they are so popular.
Gotcha.
And there's such a, because obviously it's based off the performance bagger. So it's designed to be a bit more sportier. You're going, But then I look at it and go, yeah, but it can't go over dirt. I never go over dirt, but if I wanted to, I could.
If I wanted to, I could. Yes, yeah, exactly. I'm the same. Although I've got to say, I'm doing a wee bit more. I have to watch how I say this. I'm doing a wee bit more riding in the dirt these days, and I'm starting to see the appeal. I still much prefer tarmac. I'm still a tarmac chap for sure, but I do see the appeal now. Right, but I still prefer riding the big bikes like the GS and stuff. I like riding them off road more than I like riding like I've taken a wee Husky 350 off road, which apparently is supposed to be one of the best bikes ever, you know, to take off road and do proper off road riding on. I just felt like a 6'3", 20 stone lump, you know, whereas on the GS, I felt like I could balance on the bike, and I felt like I was in charge of the bike rather than the bike being in charge of me, which is what it felt like on that little wee Husky, because I couldn't find my balance point on it. You know, like when I was stood up on it, I was either leaning too far forward or too far back, and I couldn't moderate the throttle properly when I was stood up. I was just snatching the throttle too much, whereas on a big bike, I can grip it, you know, I can grip it with my lower legs, and I've got some sort of connection with the bike then, and it just felt more comfortable to me.
I know, it's what you got. I've never done it on the smaller bikes, because I'm like you. I'm a big guy. I'm going to look like a monkey on a trike.
Aye.
It's just not a done thing.
I don't have that problem.
No, you don't have that problem. Shut ass. Whereas you're right on a big bike. I own a big bike, so if there's ever a chance if I'm going to go and learn a bit of off-roading, I want to learn it on a big bike. So if I do decide to do it on my own bike, at least I know what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? I did that last year. I did the off-road day at Wales with my Kextons.
Oh yeah,
it was. It's just so much fun. Do you know what I mean? So, favourite road last year was definitely North Wales, especially in and out the quarries and stuff like that. It was just so much fun. But if you ask me any road, I'm going to stick to my guns and say the A82 all day long.
Really? That's your top, mind you. It is fun. You know,
and it goes on and on and on.
Aye, yeah. Good point.
So I'm going to stick to the A82.
I think
you can convince me different come May.
Well, yeah. For Scotland, yeah, you might find a few others on the Scotland tour for sure. But I still don't think you can beat. Spain in general, and I include the Canaries in Spain because it's a Spanish territory. You're going to find a road or a type of surface that you love to ride on at some point within the Spanish mainland or the islands. Although I am thinking, you know, there's some passes in Switzerland that are pretty phenomenal, and Romania, you know, the Transalpina and bits of the Transfagarasin and some others, they're all really damn good. But I still think if I could just have one place, I would still take Spain, I think. just because it's got everything.
Yeah, sorry,
Spain, you get the good weather. And Spain, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure Spain have this really good policy in terms of looking after the roads. They definitely set aside budget better than we do in the UK by a long stretch of the imagination. Especially, a week of frost and then a week of rain. The roads are just the pits, literally the pits running about here. But I think
same down here.
Spain have definitely got that. They look after the roads, I think, because they know it's such a big tourist thing for them. Because if the roads are decent, if they're immaculate and good, the weather's good, they're going to get loads of bikers going in and out. Multiple different parts of Spain, and that's all income. It's quite
most of the continent's similar. In my experience, most of Europe has really good quality roads. And we used to, whenever you went over there and you saw the quality of roads in Romania and Switzerland and Spain and France, wherever you went, as a Brit, you were always like, oh, well, that's where the tax money goes then, isn't it? But I mean, it's what we used to feel, but it's plainly bollocks. But the roads are definitely better on the continent. They're definitely... Whether they make them differently, whether they upkeep them differently, I don't know what it is. But, the roads are amazing. The surfaces are just gorgeous.
I've had the joy of driving up Mount Teide, and I would love to do that on a bike.
Oh, mate, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
The way you go through those different ecosystems until you get to that almost Martian landscape at the top. It's just, I've driven in a car years ago when my son was filming when he was a wee boy, and it would a great day up there. But to go up there on a bike, I think would just be So maybe that would be another one I would want to do. I've certainly done it in a car, but I think would be amazing to do on a bike.
Tenerife. It's weird, right? Because I've only ridden in Gran Canaria and Tenerife on the Canary Islands. I've not done any of the others yet, but they're totally different. Gran Canaria is much tighter roads, nadgery in places, really twisty, loads of fun. And then you go to Tenerife and they're twisty and curvy, but they're more flowing and they seem to be wider and almost faster. And it's different landscapes round about you. As you said there, Ian, Teide, you get to the top and it's Martian, isn't it? It's like red volcanic rock everywhere. It's
incredible. The plants and things just look something like a sci-fi movie. It's just, they film an awful lot of sci-fi stuff. They do on the Lanzarote as well. If you go up to the volcanic bits in Lanzarote, just something else to see. It's because it's black. It's it's because the volcanic ashes and everything's black and all these black beaches and everything. So probably any of those islands, the big volcanic islands, and just to experience that kind of atmosphere around you on the bike, it would be almost Mad Maxy in a way. You know what I mean? You'd have that kind of real kind of feel of just you and out there with nothing. Another one that I think would be amazing on a bike, although probably quite scary, is Death Valley. Because it's especially when I was through it was in a heat wave, right? So that was even more scary, if you get stuck there. But to do that as well probably would be another one that would go through that national park from one end to the other.
It's got to be done, isn't it?
Because I think Mojave, you can go through that just on the tarmac, but if you want to come off it, there's loads of trails and stuff you can do.
Yeah, there's some in Death Valley. There's loads of old-fashioned trails that the old stagecoaches and things would have taken.
Oh, and wow.
Your Pan America would just eat that up. It would just love it. It would just love every second of that. We'd hire a Jeep to do it, and
it broke down.
Harley moving. So says me that's got one. I can't, but yeah, I think for adventure biking, there's so many wee off-road bits, and we took a kind of trail in the car when we were going through Death Valley, and I thought this would be amazing on an adventure bike. It'd be so much fun on an adventure bike, as if you do that breakdown and there's no cars for hours.
Me again, folks, just a short one this. We are also sponsored this month by the Influencer Store. If you go to TeapotOne.com, you'll go to the shop, check out any of the merchandise that I have available. That is all handled by the Influencer Store right here in the UK. I've got a quick bit of blurb to read out for them, and that is, The Influencer Store helps you build your brand, big or small, providing you with a solution and apparel. We help you to increase your fan base while supporting you with starting your own influencer clothing line with nothing more than just an idea or design. And there are no hidden costs. For more info, come check us out at theinfluencerstore.co.uk or drop us an email at online@influencerstore.co.uk for more information. Make sure you check them out, folks. Head to TeapotOne.com, head to the shop, and you'll be supporting both the Teapot One channel and the podcast right here if you buy anything from the merchandise. So a massive thanks in advance to you and a huge thanks to the Influencer Store. And we're also sponsored by Ultimate Add-ons. Now, Ultimate Add-ons, they make dustproof and shockproof mobile phone cases and action camera mounts. They will fit just about every single bike out there. Me personally, I always use the Helix strap mount because it means I can easily attach that to just about any bike that I'm riding at that time. I can jump on and off on bikes and just easily unscrew the strap, whack it on the next bike, tighten it all up, and off I go. It's very versatile. I've had no vibration issues affecting my camera using the Helix strap. That's the one that I will stand by and swear by. Been using it about 5 years now. So again, if you head to Ultimate Add-ons, so that's Ultimate with ADDONS, ultimateaddons.com. If you use the code TEAPOT110, so TEAPOTONE with the number 10, you'll get 10% off. And lastly, folks, I just want to say a massive thank you to you. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast, for watching the vids, for commenting, for liking, for sharing, for following and subscribing. It all is a massive, massive help. We're on a bit of an upturn at the moment. The podcast is gathering momentum. The channel is certainly doing really well. So a huge thanks to everybody who's been involved with that. If you want to go that extra mile, then you can always buy some merch over at TeapotOne.com. Or if you really want to get committed, you can join the clan over at patreon.com/TeapotOne. All links for everything are down below, folks. I appreciate any support in any form you can give. All right, then. That's enough with the beg and bowl. Let's get back to the podcast. Do you know, there are so many people screaming at this podcast at the moment because we're talking about GSs and adventure bikes. Do you get the hatred, even on the pan? Do you get the hatred off of people that are just like, can you stop talking about adventure bikes?
No, we get the, what do you call it? I get the, you don't really get the nod for the adventure bike owners because they look at it and go, oh, that's one of the fucking ugly Pan Americas. And then you don't get the nods for the Harley people because they go, that's one of the Pan Americas. That's not a real Harley. And you're going, no, I don't really care. Nod. I don't care.
I make a point of nodding to everybody. I don't care. Mopeds, I don't care. Yeah. I just nod, wave at everybody.
If you're brave enough to go on two wheels, they deserve the nod. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I really don't care. Right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Having said all of this year, I'm hopefully returning to my roots. I'm trying to get my Gixxer back on the road.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I'm hoping to actually get a few rides, maybe even do a tour or two on the Gixxer, on the Beast, the original Beast, if I can get that back up and running. But I'm a wee bit like you, Ian, what you're saying about, you know, when you're trying to get on some bikes these days with the mature coat that we gentlemen wear this time of year, at this age. I have sat on the Gixxer in my garage and thought, oh, wow. I might need to do a wee bit of exercise before I get back on this thing.
My plan to save money in a heated vest hasn't worked properly. You know what I mean?
But then the way I think about it is you see that extra coat that we're wearing. That's to save me spending money on extra heated gear.
Like it.
That's just my own. And I get fun, much more fun getting that coat ready than I do having to arse about trying to get the heated one on, then try to get it plugged into the bike. I can't be bothered with that.
Oh, mate. The faff involved with heated kit is what totally turned me off. I got sent a load of stuff from Keiss last year for this Keiss Inspiring Riders thing that they did. And see, having to just plug yourself into everything at the start of every becking ride, and every time I filled the bike up with fuel and got off the bike and got back on, I just got bored. I got bored with it. I genuinely just, I'd rather be cold. The jacket was superb. The jacket is the one bit of kit which I've I kept and I've still got there. And when it's cold, I'll use it because the heated jacket, amazing. But the gloves and the socks that I had, I was like, give it. I'd rather have heated grips, to be honest.
Although I would have loved to have seen you win that case adventure thing, having watched Richie's videos and
all off road.
Your arsenal along the Icelandic volcano ash, completely off road. There was like two roads. Yeah. I mean, there's a tiny wee bit of road to get to the crud, and then there's a tiny bit of road to get for the crud back to the end of the thing. The rest of the time was spent in volcanic ash, and that is your idea of hell, mate.
They didn't tell anybody that. They didn't tell anyone that. At the time, it was like, win a free holiday to Iceland. Everyone was like, yeah, I love that.
By the way, it's 90% volcanic ash.
Yeah, it's no holiday.
For all it was very scenic. Do you know what I mean? That looked like an absolute. It didn't look like a fun ride. I mean, of a man of my technical ability, that did not look like a fun ride.
I think like Rich is the perfect guy for that because Rich has got. He's a photographer. He's keen photographer. He's very good at his cinematography. He captured the beauty of the landscape perfectly, and he loves riding in the dirt. He loves off road, and he's reasonably handy at it as well. So he's definitely the best candidate for that one for sure.
You wouldn't. I looked at it, I watched that video series and I went, oh, that looks like so much fun. But no. And then looked at the price and went, hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no, that's no cheap. I'm not doing that. No thanks.
Excuse me. Sorry if I keep coughing, boys. Right. That was the first one with Brett. Cheers, Brett. Thank you for that, mate. Next one, Lee Vigor. How you doing, Lee? Hi, all. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year, pal.
Happy New Year, mate.
What are your New Year resolutions and what's the biggest thing you've planned for this year?
I'm not a big advocate of New Year's resolutions purely because 99 times out of 100, they end up getting kiboshed, right? It's just one of the. But if there's anything that I've decided this year is I've decided, and a bit like obviously your mantra, but fuck it, I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. That's my new mantra. I'm just fuck it, I'm doing it. So I'm just going to go for it.
That could be a t-shirt too.
Yeah, fuck it, I'm doing it. That's, I mean, if I see that on the influencer page, I'll be phoning you up, Bruce, and be
live your life. Fuck it, I'm doing it.
Fuck it, I'm doing it. So that's what I'm going to try and do a bit more of this year, is just fuck it, I'm doing it. Again, I had that kind of started it last year, and then obviously, so when the chicken strips do come out, I went, fuck it, I'm doing it. And just, was straight on there and going, I'm doing it. And then I told the wife, by the way, I'm away for a week in May.
That's what I did. I arranged all these tours, got them all booked. I'm pretty much away next year, dear.
I think you meant around the world. You know what I mean? By the way, dear, I'm away for a week. 400 and something days later.
Just popping out.
Remember me? So don't set New Year's resolutions because you'll just break them. It's pointless. Just live by something. And this year it's fuck it, I'm doing it. But that's next year, we'll see.
And what's the biggest thing you've got planned for the year?
Right now, obviously the Flying Scotsman tour is the biggest one. That's the biggest one I've planned so far because we're only the 5th or something?
The 5th.
So it's only a weekend. So that's the biggest one. I think at some point I'll be going to India this year with work. So if I'm going there, I'm going to get a ride when I'm out there because a lot of the boys ride, believe it or not, Royal Enfields. So and they've said, don't worry, we'll set you up, we'll get you sorted. Just get out. So hopefully get out to India this year. I was supposed to go last year and then obviously something happened with the family, so couldn't get. So this year that'll be hopefully on the cards again and get a bit of riding in India. Not in the centre of Mumbai because that's fucking suicide.
I was going to say, where about in India? Do you know?
It's Mumbai.
It is Mumbai.
It is Mumbai.
Good luck.
No. It's dead easy. Just sit on the horn and just avoid traffic. If it's that side of the road, this side of the road, it doesn't really matter as long as you're avoiding traffic. It's fine.
Yeah, they don't really give a damn about sides of the road, really, do they?
No, you just go, don't you? They just seem to work. They just seem to figure it out.
So yes.
What about yourself, Ian?
Well, I'm not setting the bar too high with the old resolutions. So really, my New Year's resolution is to remember to write 2023 and everything. So that's probably, if I can get away with that, then I'm doing well. I think again, a lot of things have happened over last year, like kind of reframing what's important. And again, live your life stuff and all that. It's like it's about finding contentment in things rather than always feeling like you're reaching for something else. So
Aye.
So just doing more things that I like to do. I don't have anything such planned. We're talking about maybe looking at seeing whether we can go to Japan, maybe looking at seeing whether we can go to Australia. But again, that may be too expensive. It might just not be logistically possible. But really, just doing more things that give me contentment. Hence why I bought a saxophone. I thought I don't care whether I'm terrible at it or not. I'll just have fun. Being part of that process. And I think it's about just that whole. It's not about what you have; it's about what you do with what you've got. I
love that.
I bet he's not giving his wife contentment.
To be fair, she's been very encouraging so far. So she's very actively encouraging as well. I know obviously if when John passes his test and everything, I'll get to spend a fair amount of time with him, both doing something that we know we're going to love doing together. So
that's brilliant. I love that. I think that's very true what you just said there, Ian, about realizing the value of what you have and not constantly striving for more. Like,
yep.
it's like this. I battle with that constantly. Now life is pretty much on YouTube, and that's my job now. It's my role and I all last year, in fact, I'd say for the last couple of years, I've been figures chasing, like how many subs have I got? How many views has that one got? What's the comments like? You're constantly trying to grow everything. You want more, give me more, constantly. And that fucks your head up. It really does. I used to listen to people in the media talking about the pressures of social media and all. I used to think, get a grip. You're a grown-ass adult. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah.
But it is incredible how quickly it can envelop you and almost poison you, because you just become a slave to it. It's like, what? Mm-hmm. I need more. I've got to have more. How do I get more? And that's no way to live life, is it? And definitely the latter half of, in fact, last year, pretty much, I'd say from about February, March, April time, it was Richie Vida, actually. Richie Vida was the one that said to me, because we have a little WhatsApp group and we were all seeing figures drop as everyone was going back to work. And it was like, shit, what are we going to do? Mm-hmm. And Rich has never been one that's chased figures, believe it or not. And he just turned around and he said, look, I just make the content that I enjoy making. I really don't care if I don't get views on it. I'm just going to make the content that I enjoy. And the people that enjoy that content will come to the channel naturally. And I thought to myself, that's brilliant. That's the way it should be. You're not going to get massive growth, but you're going to be happier, definitely. If you make the content you want to make and make it as good as you want it to be, that's surely the way to go. So I sort of set my sights on that last year, and then this year, definitely that's what I just want to try and continue that through this year.
We say that to every podcast, don't we? We say, look, whether there's one person listening or 100,000 people listening, it doesn't. As long as somebody's enjoying it, we will continue to make it, and it because it is about just being having that something. You're creating something for yourself, and if other people enjoy it, then even better. Even better. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
If one person, we don't really. If anything else, we started it more just so that we could talk shite for 2 hours.
Basically.
I mean, and that's the way we've always looked at it. We've always kind of looked at that kind of, it's probably never going to replace our jobs. We've kind of came to terms with that. You mean, we just know that either popular or lucky, or we're two Scottish guys and nobody can really understand us. either way, we don't really care. We're hanging out for the lottery. And if that lottery comes, then we'll continue to do the podcast. We'll just do it from a beach in Barbados.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll just be two average bikers on a beach. So
two average bikers in a different time zone. That'll be it, you know.
And I'm you. I think if you've got 10 subscribers or you've got 100,000 subscribers and they come to your channel religiously because they enjoy what you do and they relate to you and they connect to you, that's better than having 1 million subscribers that are just racking up numbers, that don't really participate, that don't get involved and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of see Richie's point. I mean, I think that's probably the best way to kind of go about it. I'll be honest and say I followed $1 Million Bogan for a while, because he was doing his kind of, wasn't he really a world tour? He kind of did a wee bit of tour here in the UK and then he went and did America, and it was fine. It was kind of getting, I thought, I'm really enjoying this, and I've still got him there, but I don't really watch his videos. Whereas the likes of yourself and Richie and TMF and Man Cave Moto, I've started watching as well, and his stuff's quite good. His latest one that he's doing, he's kind of ride for his dad thing. That's just it's and it's not even the greatest roads in the world. It's no, but it's just that there's something about that content and why he's doing it and stuff like that that just pulls you in.
It's a human element. It's a story behind it, isn't it?
Yeah. So again, it's, I mean, I think you're doing the right thing. I wouldn't bother with chasing the numbers.
No.
I mean, chase the patrons, they pay the wages. You know what I mean?
This is a thing. This is a thing for me, is that, you know, I think most YouTubers in my situation, you know, with 70-odd thousand subs, although 70,000 is an insane number, it's a crazy number, but it's not huge by YouTube standards. And most people with that couldn't go full time. I shouldn't be able to go full time with that because I don't make a lot of money off the views on YouTube. You know, like, as you just said there, Darren, most of my income comes off the back of Patreon. And that's because of the community that has been built up over the last, 10, well, I suppose, let's say 6 years properly. I've been doing it on YouTube. And I think if you haven't invested that time into nurturing and growing like a strong community, then, I certainly wouldn't be in the position I'm in where I can, I hate to say rely, but, at the moment I am relying on people over in the clan on Patreon to effectively keep a roof over my head at the moment. So, I value that massively, certainly do. But it's interesting what you said there, Darren, about people like $1 Million Bogan and that, I think the longer you've been on something like YouTube or any of the social media platforms, you see people come and go, don't you? You see people just arrive on the scene, bang, like that. And you're like, wow, the content's amazing. And they throw everything at it and they get this monumental growth and they ride that tidal wave. And it lasts, sometimes it lasts 6 months, sometimes it lasts a year, 2 years, 3 years. But I would say the vast majority of them just fade out. Whether they burn out and they can't keep up that momentum, that pace. But there's not many that have any longevity there at all.
No, I don't think there's any that I think when I first started watching YouTube, especially in the biking scene, it was Elk Phaser 1, if you remember Elk Phaser 1. Do you know what I mean? And again, but he was the same. He had loads of great content. He did CBT stuff. He did bike test stuff. He did reviews. He did maintenance. He did a bit like TMF does. And he lasted, again, I can't remember, 2 or 3 years or something. And then it just stopped. The content just stopped. Do you know what I mean? And then that's when I think the likes of yourself and TMF started appearing and that kind of stuff. And then that's when, and I don't know if that was just circumstance. That was just a time where everybody started getting into bike vlogging or motor vlogging. And then there was that kind of spike in it. I haven't seen anyone lately that's kind of been on and then kind of faded away, but there's a couple of guys I know, Scottish guys particularly, that were doing a lot of stuff around training and advanced riding and in Scotland and all that kind of stuff, that again they lasted about 6 months and their numbers were quite decent and then gone. You're like, what happened there? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if it's just people, I think I don't know if it just affects, because you know what it's like. I think I've had more appreciation this year or last year. I'm going to keep saying 2022 because Ian used to do anything we were going to do video wise, because we don't have loads of stuff on YouTube because we're primarily a podcast, and we do try to do some stuff and get it up there. But it just takes so long to edit, and having full-time jobs, and Ian does other stuff aside from his normal job around drone work and video work and all that stuff, the time we edit stuff, and edit's a killer. And I never really took that into account. I just thought, well, I can edit an audio podcast in jig time quite quickly. But this year I thought, I'm going to learn Premiere Pro, or 2022, I'm going to learn Premiere Pro, and I'm going to edit some stuff, and we'll do some stuff on Zoom, and we'll capture that, and we'll make wee snippets, and we'll do like kind of wee highlight reels and stuff. Aye. And it just eats into your time. Absolutely. It fucking takes ages to edit stuff.
But then I'm seeing folk. I see folk now, like on the socials, and they're like, they seem to create videos, like proper full-on YouTube vids. I don't just mean the social media, like minute-long reels and TikTok stuff, but proper YouTube vids of like 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes plus. They're creating them. They're getting them done in like a day or two. I'm like, it like a 20-minute video takes me minimum 3 days. Minimum, unless it's something I've shot in my office like this. If you're talking about going out on a bike, talking shit whilst you've got cameras and everything rolling, one of those vids takes me a minimum 3 days, if not 5, to edit. And I don't understand how people do it so quick.
I think sometimes you probably. Like we talked before, didn't we, about Peter McKinnon's work and how amazing that is. But what you don't know unless you watch a lot of stuff is how big his team is. You know, and how many other people are involved in doing that. So when you're a lone person with a full-time job, and then my side hustles, my video and my photography, my acting, my musicals and all that kind of stuff, right? All that stuff that I do, right, on this side hustle, whilst trying to edit video, and I want it to look as good as Peter McKinnon's videos. I don't want it to look like a lot of the stuff you watch on YouTube, which is really, really bad. You know, yet somehow people have, tens of thousands of subscribers, and people are quite happy to watch rubbish videos, so I
don't think he's having a pop at you there, Bruce.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Excuse me.
I'm talking about quite a lot of people who just sit in front of a desk and shout at you for 15 minutes, about nothing. So like, I mean, I'm terrible for watching like what somebody's like, here's the new Harley Davidson models going out in 2023, and you turn on, you start watching it, any of the guys, these American guys, and they just shout at you for 20 minutes about something that actually they don't know anything more than you do. And you're like,
that annoys me. The press pack vids, they really annoy me. Moto Bob, I used to get really pissed off when Moto Bob first came on the scene, because I was like, he's just taken the press pack and put his own twist to it. Mm-hmm. But then I met him, and then I looked at his vids, and I was like, he's actually put a lot of graft in there. It's like there's a lot of his own stuff done here, and like he's managed to keep like even like things like the color grading of all the different clips that he's used. As somebody that edits, I look at it and go, oh man, he spent some time there balancing all the colours on everything to make sure everything has a similar feel to it. And I sort of got a newfound respect for Moto Bob, and then started watching more of his channel. And I was like, shit, it's actually really good, bastard.
I know. But then you watch somebody like Fortnite, whose stuff is just incredible. And
it's TV stuff, isn't it? TV quality.
TV, and you're going, how are you not doing more than what you're doing? But he's not putting a video every 2 days either. He's like the quality of his kind of stuff. And then there's a girl I watch, is Her Two Wheels, the American girl, and she's like relatively new rider, probably not now, but big Harley, and she goes all around America, all up and it's just, for her, it's the enthusiasm, and quite a lot of her videos, there's been mistakes in them, and she just keeps all that stuff in, but it's just that like yourself, and like that, when you're watching your stuff, there's just a passion and a love for what you're doing, and that's actually the recent thing she was watching. She put a thing out about, and this will be a YouTube thing. You might be kind of forced to do this, yourself. But it's about having to do these reels. She doesn't want to do reels. She doesn't want to, but there's the whole algorithm and everything. So that she was kind of basically saying, I'm apologising to all the people that don't want to watch reels. But in order for me to do things in YouTube, I've got to keep putting these reels out to be, and things. And is that something, I was curious to find out, is that something that's...
It's definitely promoted more. I started doing the reels probably a couple of months ago. So I was doing little teaser vids. I was trying to do wee teasers for some of my vids and for the podcast especially. And they were generally like 2, 3, 4 minute long type things. Yeah. And then reels came out and you're limited to a maximum 1 minute. And I thought, how can you do a realistic trailer for a minute long? But because of TikTok, you can. Absolutely. You really have to be ruthless with the edit. And I find it actually helps because you really do have to cut out all the chaff and just go for maximum impact. Sometimes I think I've done a couple of little reels that are like 35, 40 seconds long. And I think to myself, I could maybe cut another 5 off that, and it's just the way things are now. Yeah. But I definitely notice I'm probably going to let some secrets out. Everybody will be doing reels now. But having done the reels, I saw actually my views doubled. My views across my channel doubled. And although they don't monetize reels, I don't think at the moment, so did my income. My ad revenue that first month it almost tripled what I normally make. It's my biggest month ever was just because I did a couple of reels. And one of them was as simple as, I think it was a GS max speed. It was literally, I was editing some content and I had a bit where I was coming back from Romania and I was heading to the Jekyll and Hyde exhaust place in the Netherlands. So I was on the Autobahn and I just thought, I was sat with the GS pinned anyway. And I just thought I'll whack the cameras on and record it, top speed on the GS. And it was just a minute long thing saying GS max speed, I think was the title. And that, I think, is my biggest viewing vid on any platform ever. And it was crazy. It's still to this day, I think it's still the top performing vid. It's crazy. And it's literally me sat on a motorway pinning a GS. That's it.
This is the TikTok generation that's causing this, though.
100%.
Because they want
100%.
20 seconds, just flick. But if it brings people into the channel, is that a bad thing?
That's the way I look at it. I just look at it now that you, as a content creator, you have to extend your tentacles. You've just got to get your fingers in as many pies as possible and wiggle them so that as many people see this as possible and sort of bring them back to the mothership. Try and direct everything back to whatever, whether it's your brand or whatever it is that you need. You've got to get out there and get people's attention because there's so much competition for it now. Even on podcasts, you go... even when I started my podcast right at the start of lockdown, so it's right at the beginning of 2020, I think it was about February, March, April time, I think I started, just as lockdown started. When was that? Maybe even May. Even then, there wasn't that much competition in the motorcycle podcast sector, certainly in the UK. I think there was probably only 5 discernible ones, I think. I remember looking at the charts. And within my first couple of episodes, this was like, I think, number 2, and Chasing the Racing was number 1. And I'm like, I'd done like 3 episodes. It's like, how the hell is this up there already? Beating like thingy chatter, what's it called? Oh, God. Full Chatter and all these other podcasts. And it was like, how the hell's that happened? But then now there's shed loads of them out there now. I don't think I get in the top. I haven't been in the top 10 for a while. I know that for sure. So the competition's a lot harder, much harder.
Because when we started, that was the same thing. It was like, do you know what? Because I'd been obviously listening to your show, right? The Brew Time. and I'm going, this is quite good. This is, but do you know, the only thing I think is missing is I'd like a wee bit of kind of update on what the news, like what's happening, latest bikes, latest, what's coming, what's whatever. And obviously, you were just doing the pure interview stuff, which I still to this day listen to and still enjoy. With the exception of Road Skin guys, audio quality was terrible.
Was it? Oh yeah. He was sat right back, wasn't he?
It's not that Ian's such a nice guy. I met him up at Thunder in the Glen, and him, the other boy that just they had me in hysterics. They're quite funny. But you're right. There was only half dozen or so at the time, and nothing really. You know what I mean? There, and I was like, and that's when I said to Ian, let's do something similar. But you're right. No, you know what I mean? It's just there's loads of them. Even MCN brought out their own version with a nod. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know how that's doing. I listened to a couple of episodes and it was like it's fine. There's a couple of nice wee anecdotes in there, but it's not really, you know what I mean? I didn't enjoy it as much. Do you know what I mean? But you're right, there's absolutely loads of them out there now. Everybody's doing podcasts.
Yeah, there are so many. It's hard to listen to them as well now because there's just so much different stuff out there. What's your top podcast? Any genre? What's your podcast of choice? One that you'll always look and right, it's a new episode of that. Let's have a listen.
I've got two, I suppose. I still do Brew Time because obviously you don't
need to say that. Come on.
No, still stuff comes up in social, and there's a couple that I've looked at and went, don't know who that is. I'm going to listen because I want to know who they are.
Okay.
And then the other one is the one that what's his face? The comedian boy, Chris Ramsey, the one him and his wife do.
Oh, Mag Shari Danoid.
Aye, that one. I still listen to that because I just think, there's some really weird people out there. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's just so weird. Do you know what I mean? Just some really strange people out there. There is the Hayley Atwell, I don't know, the actress. She's got one out which is a kind of spy stories one, which I'd listened to a few lately, and they're quite interesting. They're actual real spy stories, but obviously, they're told in a kind of, and they don't last long. They're only about 30-35 minutes, but they're really quite interesting as well. And it helps that Hayley Atwell's talking on it because she's definitely got a voice for podcasts.
I've never heard of that one. I'll check that one out.
I'll dig out what it was called, but it's true spy stories.
I love all that.
It's told, and I think it's again because they are relatively short. They're really, really easy to listen to.
Aye.
So I'll definitely those three probably.
What about yourself, Ian?
For me, and it's probably a bit controversial, bearing in mind his press recently and some of his stuff, but I just love the old Ricky Gervais show with him and Steve Merchant and Carol Pilkington. I can re-listen to them all the time, and I will always go back and listen to them. I really like Ricky Gervais. I've since The Office, since I discovered The Office before, I watched The Office and loved it before it was people knew about it, and I just got it. I just got that level of humour. So for me, it's always Ricky Gervais. But I've started watching on is it Apple TV or Netflix? I can't remember. The Only Murders in the Building. So I'm intrigued that there is this whole genre of people who are amateur sleuths that try and solve murders. So I'm going to have to start looking into that because that fascinates me. So it's a TV program, obviously with Steve Martin and Martin Short and is it Selena Gomez? Is it anyway? So and it's about these three people who do a podcast about. But they're only ever going to investigate murders that happen in their building in New York. But there's a whole kind of amateur sleuth trying to solve murders podcast people out there, which I just think sounds so bizarre and weird. But I'm going to have to find out more about that,
That's on my watch list, Ian.
That's good. It's good. It's good fun.
I'd never heard of that.
Yeah.
Is that on Netflix, did you say?
Apple TV. Might be Disney Plus, actually. Now I come to think of it, because now they've got that Star thing now. So, but it's
not got
it's
that.
very,
I can't afford Disney Plus. I haven't got it.
I got it free with something. So, I'm sure I subscribed to something, got it free. But So, it's quite good. Yeah. So, but there's obviously this whole kind of it might be too American. I don't know when I find a decent one, but that does fascinate me. But I will continually go back and listen to Ricky Gervais's podcast, especially. In fact, it's Carol Pilkington more than anyone else that I just adore listening to, because he just says everything that you want to say when you hear things, and you just don't do it because you get this sense of, I'm not going to say that, and he just says it, and you just go, I wish I had the confidence to just be like that and just say, do you know what, I just don't get it. Why? Do
you remember that travel series he did?
Loved it.
It was just awesome, wasn't it? When they just sent him away on places.
The day that he sat down to eat a frog being cooked in some sort of rural place in China was one of the best moments of television in the planet for me. It's just watching these faces are cooking this frog, and he was on the bus.
He was on the bus going to the Great Wall of China, and everyone was sat on the bus just snorting and being Chinese basically, and he was just sat there like, what?
And he's travelling through China, rationing his quavers. Do you know what I mean? It's just so good. Yeah, absolutely. But I tell you, that'd be my shout. Yeah.
What was that?
True Spies.
Right.
That well podcast.
I'll check that one out then. I'm just the old faithful, to be honest. I'll always have a look to see who's been on Rogan, see who he's had, because he does 3 a week, doesn't he? And I love listening to Two Bears, One Cave. That's Tom Segura and Burt Kreischer, 2 American comics. They publish on a Monday. They just have me in stitches. Those 2 could talk about the phone book, and they just have me laughing. They're just funny guys. Who else is there? I like Infinite Monkey Cage. Have you heard that? It's the BBC.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Professor Brian Cox.
Yeah,
I love astronomy and physics, and just listening to Brian Cox talk about any kind of the stars, space, physics. I just sit there and listen.
One of the books I got for Christmas is the description of existential physics.
Wow.
From an author. So the whole concept of it, of some sort of existential existence through physics. So I'm kind of quite looking forward to reading that. So yeah, I must tune into the Monkey Cage. Absolutely.
I love them. When they start talking about magnitude of like space as we know it, and you can't comprehend it when they start talking about stuff 18 million light years away, and they just say it like it rolls off the back of the tongue, and you're just like, hang on. So that's going to take 18 million light years for the light to come back to me, and by the time I've seen it, it no longer exists. Is that right?
Yeah, and it hasn't for a very long time.
Yeah.
Just wow, nothing you see out there actually exists anymore.
Oh wow! Don't. That's just going to blow my head. We need to sit with a funny cigarette now and just contemplate things.
If you want something a bit more home to your country of birth, BBC Sounds have a podcast called May Contain Nuts. And it's 4 Scottish guys, right? They run about the kind of Edinburgh Fife area, so they all talk about fun again, but they talk about just random shit. They'll just pick like random shit, like the Egyptians.
I've heard clips from that, funnily enough.
They talk about the Egyptians, right? And they literally just rip the piss at each other for a good half hour.
What's it called?
May Contain Nuts.
Oh,
it's so funny. It's one of the ones I'll put it on when I'm washing the car or washing the bike or something, and like folk will pass by and I'm obviously in hysterics and don't realise it. Folk go, can I carry something? Clearly doing watching that. Do you know what I mean?
So I'm going to have to find that. I'm going to have to listen. That sounds like it's right up my Strasser, that.
It's on BBC Sounds.
Right, check that out. Right, nice one, Lee. I think we answered your question there, pal. Biggest thing you've got planned for this year? I think we've all addressed that, haven't we?
Yep, I think so, yeah.
I think we have. Next one, Mark Fulcher. Help me, ducks. I've been lazy and I've copied and pasted the questions that I submitted for Vanessa. Fortunately, very generic, so they can be answered by all. Oh yeah, folks, if you've not sussed this out already, this week's guest was originally going to be Vanessa Rupp, Girl on a Bike, but she's had to not cancel. She's coming back on in March. But the chaps obviously have stepped in very kindly, short notice. So, a couple of questions. After overindulging on the Crimbo dinner and subsequently nature has to run its course, I found myself having a sense of pride that a one wiper was on its way. So my question is, do you ever judge the wipe count while sitting down, or is this just me? Or is it a man thing? You were going to ask that question
exactly what I'm
to
thinking.
Vanessa.
In fairness, I think she'd probably say it's not just a guy thing.
Wow, I don't really want to think about that. You know what I mean? I know equal ops and all that, but you know.
The one that always surprises me is the ghost jobby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look, and then, I mean, that's the one that always surprises me. Do you know what I mean? If it's a one wiper and a ghost jobby, happy days. Do you know what I mean? That's more time I can spend. I mean, listening to podcasts, making podcasts, or editing, or doing something else.
At the risk of divulging possibly way too much information here with people, I believe in sharing, but I may overstep the mark here. I'm having the polar opposite issue these days, in that it's like a constant wipe. It's just never ends. So what's going on?
You're suffering from the Crayola syndrome, where you've got a brown crayon stuck up your backside.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Absolutely.
And there's
What's
nothing
going
worse
on?
it's not nothing worse when you get to the end and you go, fuck for that. And then you go to stand up and you go, well, wait a minute. Oh, hang on, difficult, stop, second album. Sit back in the
There we
middle.
go.
You know what I mean?
That's it. Yeah.
It's
That
you,
was
it's a fucking square one. You have to flush halfway through. It's just. They're the
I'm
worst.
glad it's not just me then, right?
no, definitely. Yeah, it's I call it the brown crayon moment. Yeah,
I like that. Crayola.
Crayola.
Ghost poo and the Crayola.
Yeah, that's it.
Love it. Love it. I used to call them an SMT meeting. So it's when SMT senior management team. And I used to call it, when you sit down and then you're just farting and nothing actually ever happens. So it's just all hot air. That to me, I just use that's an SMT meeting, that one.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Or could have been an email. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's one of those meetings. Could have been an email. What happened to you? Why were you in for an hour? Could have been an email. You know what I mean?
And obviously, we talk about our difficult second album, but I mean that's one of Ian's favourites. Do you know what I mean?
That was funny. If you ever caught that podcast, that was the one that you kind of semi-lost it, didn't you?
Semi-lost it. There's about half an hour of that episode where I can't speak. Do you know what I mean? You mentioned the difficult second album.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple of new T-shirt designs here. Quite like this. Difficult second album. Crayola. Yeah.
Crayola, yeah.
Do some work here. Right, so going back to Mark's question, do you ever judge the wipe count while sitting down?
Absolutely. Because then you've got to judge if you get enough loo roll there.
Why?
Do you know what I mean?
It's the risk assessments of all risk assessments when you walk in there.
Absolutely.
You've got to kind of make an assumption based on the borborygmus or the tummy rumblings, whether or not it's going to be calm down you. Whether or not, you're going to need to go and get yourself that second roll. Absolutely. I think it's a science now. I reckon Brian Cox could probably do a whole podcast on it about his infinite monkey cage.
And I bet he could make it really interesting as well, couldn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. There'd be some sort of existential physics explanation to that moment when you walk in, and you have to make that call right there and then,
Is it bad? Is it bad I can hear him right now? When the first release.
Hear him, I'm buying tickets. I'm ready to go and watch it.
Oh, well, you'll see,
The minute my bum hits the carpet.
So
that's not bad. That's not a bad impression, Darren.
I think you're right, but wipe count has to be considered, and then you give yourself a kind of proverbial high five when you get it right. And you go, I have judged that perfectly. Right amount of paper, right time, and and then, I opened the window first, did it all right, did it in the right order.
It's not your first rodeo, is it?
It's not my first Crayola. And, so,
by the way, there was a comedian on our Christmas, and he said, this is the trick, especially if you're in someone else's house, right? If you're in someone else's throne, this is the trick, right? you obviously put a bit of toilet roll in. Usually you go for number one. The number one just naturally happens first, right? Then the minute the number two comes, flush straight away, then start the wipe. That apparently gets rid of the smell quicker.
Oh, okay.
Apparently so. I've not tried it yet. I haven't tested that. It's not that I've not been. It's just every time you go, I forget. You know, and
mine's on other things at the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, how many sheets have I got in that roll? Has that roll got cardboard in it? Because that means there's less sheets in it, or is it one of these ones that are new come without cardboard in? That just throws my maths.
Oh God, I've not faced one of them yet.
There we go. It's one of those things, isn't it? You know,
I'm genuinely
perturbed.
I'm perturbed. Can you see it in my face? I'm perturbed at the thought of this.
I've never experienced a non-cardboard structurally bound piece of.
I don't like change. I don't do change.
I'm
not ready for this.
March, I expect this question to be asked to her as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can't believe he was going to ask her that question. But he's going to make me ask her that question. Yeah. Yes, I can't believe that.
You probably don't screen the questions.
I don't.
Before you knew it, that hole would have been half dug. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Half wiped. One out of two.
Half wiped. Right. Secondly, personally, I don't believe in the whole New Year's resolutions bollocks. However, I wondered if this is something that tickles your pickle. What have you said you're going to achieve this year and or change? Bruce, you best say the bloody tractor. We've covered New Year's resolutions already, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Change.
The only thing to add to that, just to quickly move it away from the Creola conversation, is I think from a show perspective this year, we need to get out more and get a few more bikes done this year. And the good thing is there is a lot more bikes out this year. Having been down to MCN Live at the tail end of last year, we knew a wish list. I think we put it on. So we need to go and start chapping doors and start asking people to come on the show and all that kind of stuff. Because we asked a few people last year, and obviously you had came on, and then we'd another couple of people came on. We'd Robert Gracie for Stirling Eco, and we'd a couple other people in, but we never really got some of the ones that we really wanted to. And come the start of the year, I just started firing out emails again saying, listen, we had this wee show, would you like to come on? And we just went high. Last year, we even emailed Tom Cruise and asked Tom Cruise to come on.
We did, yes, Sam. We went in the danger zone.
Did you get a reply?
No.
Nothing.
No. But
keep at it. Keep at it.
Don't worry, we will. We're going to keep tapping on doors.
That's it. That's something that I find not hard, but the way I book folk in usually for the podcast is I'll do it like a month or two in advance. So I'll sort of just sit and I'll whack out loads and loads and loads of DMs across. Like generally, I find people on Instagram most of the time, so I'll just DM folk, just a load of people, and I'll try and book up the next month or two, and then that gives you it gives you a month, 2 months sort of grace period where you go, right, I've got my schedule, I'm all sorted now. And then generally when it starts wittering down to a month or 2 weeks before that's all done, you're like, right, need to go through it again. Well, obviously, this time round, I left it, and I was building up the next month or two load of guests. Pardon me. And then you start getting people that cancel and, I can't do this. Can we change it for that? And so it's just nice to have a nice little buffer there. So I definitely suggest if you don't do that, give yourself a nice little buffer, at least a month sort of buffer if you can. And I just DM folk. I just DM people like en masse, really. And sometimes I've had to DM them, without sounding out of order, sometimes 3, 4, 5 times. And eventually one of them gets through and they're like, oh, I meant to reply. Yes, no, whatever it is. And boom.
I always feel like I'm pestering people when I do that, but I think this year it's just that, again, fuck it, I'm doing it. And just whacking them out there. And just
you've got to be in it to win it, haven't you?
I have to say, from spending time, with my son, obviously doing with his Outlander stuff and everything, I do realise how much he misses of messages from people, and he'll get so much, the people message him and things from through his agent and all these kind of things, so he just misses loads and loads and loads of stuff. And it's only because myself or his mum, we'll go through his messages on Instagram and have a look and say, no, actually, John, here's an interesting thing for you, and if people aren't don't have that happening, then you're right. You're not pestering people. You're just playing the odds. And I think that's that's probably the best way to look at it now, is rather than say, oh, I'm pestering this person, I'm saying no, they're only ever going to read the one message, and so no, it makes sense to do that. So I'll watch. John's one I want to get back on the show once he passes his test. You know what I mean? If just so that we can increase our demographic of middle-aged American women that clearly want to listen to average bikers in a cave. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Excuse me. Sorry. Sorry about that.
Having gone to a Comic Con with him in Kansas City, that is the demographic. Is
it
between 40 and 70-year-old American women who just love Scottish men? There you go.
Although by all accounts, Ireland.
Well, when I say Scottish men, Sam Hewn, right? That's it. Bottom line, Sam Hewn. Yeah. When I say Scottish, Sam Hewn, Duncan Lacroix, and
we
Dave
all look
Petty.
like that, though. Obviously.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, absolutely.
Aye.
I was
eat gin and tonics. We all look like that. And
then for people like John, they want to romanticize with Sam, but they want to mother John. It's one of the two instincts they have. Horny or motherly. That's it.
And we'll draw a discreet veil over that before the conversation takes a downward spiral. Right.
But amazing, lovely people, to be fair. All good.
Nice. Right, next one. Patrick Collum. Cheers for stepping in, chaps. Hope all is well. Thinking it's a bit generic question, but what bike would you like to test ride in 2023? Manufacturer, loan, etc. And on a different note, what would you like to see more generally going forward with biking? Personally, for me, it would be more manufacturers offering lowered models, as seat heights, especially on, for example, the KTM 1290 Super Adventure, are getting ridiculous.
Patrick, right. I hear you, brother. I totally hear you with that one. Yeah. For me, the Diavel that I sat on, and actually was pleasantly surprised that I got my feet on the ground, because a lot of these bikes that you don't think look too tall are quite tall. But that, I just loved the Ducati. I just sat on it and went, oh, hello, yes, you're very nice. Yep, I like you. And wasn't too low down. My stomach didn't get in the way too much, so we'll definitely want to get a shot of one of them.
Yeah, me too. I've never ridden a Diavel.
Yeah, absolutely. So that'd be mine, definitely. In terms of, I love the concept of electric bikes. So to really see some of the manufacturers make a real breakthrough in how the charging can be improved, and I'm kind of hoping that there's something out there. I think it was the Lightning we talked about in our last podcast, and how they've got a charge down to like 10 minutes or something like that to give you like 135 miles, or switchable batteries or something that just tips the balance to make that type of biking more accessible.
Is it the Lightning? Is that their charge time? Was that not based on like a ridiculously high speed charger? It was something like
it was a
400 kilowatt charger or something stupid, wasn't
it? Yeah. But
there's only about 5 from the country.
Most of the public ones you get to, like when I've been charging the electric bikes up, it ranges from 6 to about 12 or 6 to 15 is the general sort of rate you get from it. Occasionally you might get one that's like a 50 kilowatt, but most of it's really slow.
Just on that, can we take a minute to talk about how fucking insane that was, by the way? In the 4 corners of this.
Totally.
Bike. At what point did you think, I could get this done in about 3 days? That's just fucking lunacy.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of me, to be honest. I'm a very stubborn person that if somebody says you can't do that, or what the hell do you want to do that for, then it sort of makes me go, I'm doing it then. I'm just that sort of person. So
the interesting thing was the cost thing.
Aye. Mm-hmm.
And when you went, this is how much I would have spent on fuel. This is what I spent on charging. However, here's what I spent buying shite at fuel stations.
Yeah.
Waiting for it to charge.
Exactly. You see, so it was like, I think it was like 50 quid extra. Do you know what I mean? but that was just on buying like energy drinks or a coffee or a snack or something.
Yeah.
Sweet, you had something to do where you sat and waited. And I thought that's interesting.
That was the biggest eye opener for me, was the infrastructure, not the infrastructure in terms of the charging network, because there's chargers everywhere. There's people saying, "Oh, there's no chargers around here." Bollocks! You will find a charger. You will find one. It might be busy when you get there, or it might not be working, but there will be a physical charger. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
But they're not set up for. They're certainly not set up for bikers. They're set up for people who sit there in their car, in the warm, sat in the car, listening to the radio, doing some work on their laptop, whatever. And that's that. But if you're on a bike, there's nowhere to sit. There's no cover. Well, there's very rarely anywhere to sit or any protection around about you. A lot of the time, I was literally lying on the ground next to the bike, just sleeping, because I was absolutely fucked. So it didn't matter if it was raining. So that was a big eye opener. There's no toilet facilities. There's nothing like that. If somebody opened up a charging sort of network where there was toilets and somewhere to sit and have a wee calf or something like that there, like the what are they called? The grid serve places that are all starting to open up around the UK at the moment. That is a goldmine waiting to happen. If we are indeed going to go down the electric vehicle route, which looks like that is the way we're getting pushed. I mean, if you have somewhere like that, it's just going to be a license to print money.
Well, you say that, but then they're still talking about opening up brand new coal mines. So you're like, well, you're not. If you do that, you're not going to hit your 2050 target. So why are you taking petrol off the road? It's just silly.
I mean, I'm still not convinced. I'm still not convinced electric is the way we're going to go. Just, I think there's too much. It's too much of a hot potato. Never mind the practical side of things, as in how long it takes to recharge and the cost for us as a consumer to pay for the electricity to recharge. Never mind all that. Just in the environmental and the human impact in manufacturing the technology needed for the batteries and for all these new cars, like these cobalt mines. I mean, have you seen the cobalt? Is it cobalt? It is cobalt, isn't it? Have you seen the cobalt mines? The conditions that are.
Oh, it's
human slavery.
Yeah,
I mean, it's slavery on a biblical level out in the Congo. It's phenomenal, and all the companies state that there is no humans are involved. Like no humans are there in the dirt digging with their hands. They say that does not happen. It's all done by machine. Well, it's just Joe Rogan. Watch one of Joe Rogan's latest shows. He has this journalist on who's just been investigating this whole thing over the last couple of years, and he's got video footage of it. He's gone to all these mines, and there's like 160,000 people in these big open mines, men, women, children, young kids as young as like 5. They're all in there digging by hand, bringing out all this cobalt for like $2 a day. Shocking. And you're just like, surely that can only be hidden for so long. And I think, now that appears to be coming out into the common ether, that can't be allowed to happen. That's you can't have that.
You look at the hullabaloo that happened with the World Cup starting. Right? Because obviously we're building stadiums and it was all slave labour and folk were dying and all that kind of stuff. If it comes out that this is all happening and as it gets more and more well known, folk can really go, well, I'm going to buy an electric car then. Well, are you going to buy an electric car? Because you're just continuing to fund that.
Aye. Do you know, as soon as I said it, I realised how ridiculous that was of me to have said, because we are an incredibly fickle species, aren't we? Totally. As you just said, the World Cup. We were all up in arms about it, but how quick was all that forgotten about? How quick was human rights violations in Saudi and everywhere like that? How quickly was it all forgotten about the second that we're going to the World Cup? Yeah, well, maybe not Scotland, obviously, but
no, but you're right. It's just like as a case of and and people who did try to raise awareness of it, like your Joe Lycett thing and all that, which was, I mean, whether you think he did the right thing or not, how he did it and all these things, that's for another time and another way to debate about what he did.
Aye.
But nobody cared because football was on. So nobody's going to care. The biggest thing that I think at the moment that's slowing down electric cars is because they're fucking expensive, right? For what
price and practicality,
yeah. 30 grand for a Nissan Leaf, minimum. Or you can get yourself a Corsa for 10. Do you know what I mean? It takes petrol. Why wouldn't you just? You're right. So yeah, I think it will be covered up for as long as people don't want to see it.
Yeah, I think I've said all along actually with electric, and aside of the human violations and everything, the slavery side of things and the working conditions, aside from all that, it's the environmental impact of it, in that we're still using products which have a finite resource, your cobalts and all these materials that are used in the production of your phones, of your tablets, of the batteries, of everything like that. They're all finite resources. So they're going to run out at some point. Same as fossil fuels are, going to be running out probably within our lifetime, possibly. So then what do we do? So surely the answer is to find a viable alternative, which is completely man-made, and we're not relying on a finite resource.
Yep.
Is that possible? Who knows?
Well, funnily enough, I watched Planet of the Apes recently, so yeah, that's what's going to happen. The apes will take over.
Well, I've always said this: it's cyclical, isn't it? And at some point, I think things will take a bit of a shift. Hopefully, not in our lifetime, though. What about? Sorry, go on. Sorry, go on.
That's the thing, though. But we're of a certain age. Some of us slightly more mature than others. But but in terms of that, we don't. Being fickle creatures, we can power off and say it's not in our lifetime. But I think, well, there's my son. It's definitely going to be in it. It's definitely going to be in his lifetime. And what are we leaving? What are we leaving for him? And then on the other hand, they go, but that's nice and shiny and goes really fast. So, and I'm not trying to be horrible. You genuinely just when it's easy to forget when something nice is in front of you.
It's human nature, isn't it? It's human nature. That shiny carrot gets dangled, and you're like, "Oh, fancy a bit of that." That's better than that other carrot. I'll have that one.
Ian's going to get in tweets after Greta Thunberg shortly. What do you mean?
Well, it's fine. It's fine. I've not got a pizza box with me, so I'm all right. Do you know what I mean? Can't you find me? That's terrible. That I have to
very
say,
good. Very good.
One of my most favourite things I've seen in the last few days is that whole Tate thing with Greta Thunberg, and it was just brilliant that it played out the way it did. But whether it's 100% true or whether it's a bit hyped up or whatever, but just the fact that somebody was just that stupid. That fills me with hope. That fills me with hope. So when we talk about people that kind of just go, it's shiny and I'll forget about the bad things like that happen, and it does fill me with hope that the next generation will actually maybe just make that difference that some people aren't prepared to do. There you go.
All I'll say is, if you hold that sort of faith in the next generation, do not look at TikTok, whatever you do.
Oh God, no.
That just fills me with despair. Yeah.
And it's Instagram as well now. If you Instagram now is just full of, it's probably just because it's my feed, and that probably tells you a lot about what I look at on Instagram. But my feed is full of women doing like yoga or exercise, hardly wearing anything. I mean, it's literally softcore porn now. Like, it just seems to have happened over the last few months.
What's your point, caller?
But I'm like, everything. Like, oh, what's this? What's this ad about? Oh, it's about some new chili rub. Why are your nipples in camera? What's going on? I don't understand. It's great. I'll buy it, but why are they there?
But it's back to it's the equivalent of your 1970s car magazine adverts, where it's your Ford Cortina, but the woman sitting with the hand in the gear stick and the miniskirt suggestively drawn up over her thigh, and you go, that's what's selling your Ford Cortina. You know what I mean? And it's just. I thought
we were in this new age. Oh God, excuse me, 2 seconds.
Oh, he's got a grenade.
Nope.
I caught it.
Well done.
2 words for you: OnlyFans. That's it. Right?
Yeah,
that's what it's all about. You know, I've been an American football fan rather than kind of British football, soccer. And being a Raiders fan, sadly, people can bemoan that as much as they want. But there's a couple of Facebook groups, and there's constantly women appearing. Thanks for letting me join Raider Nation or Raiders Forever or whatever, you know what I mean? And you look at and clearly they've got very full personalities, these women, and I look at it and every time you click on the profile picture, you can guarantee they have just joined, and there'll be hundreds of Americans and Europeans, people all over the world going, oh wow, I'm going to connect with her, and you can guarantee she's probably going to send out some OnlyFans site. Boom.
Yeah.
So, and they've literally joined the day they appear, and then boom, and you're just like, that's
And now Iain subscribed to 8,653 OnlyFans pages.
I think you'll find the Raider forums. Thanks. But
we're going to get our subs up by getting our tits out.
That's it. So, but to turn around and say we are living in this age where that doesn't happen anymore. No, it does. It absolutely happens.
Yeah, it seems to happen more now than ever.
It's easier now than ever. And I worry about that because you see it in TikTok, you see it in all these things. I used to bemoan, Dan, you remember when we worked together in Glasgow, and I'd walk up and down and you'd see these mediocre musicians with their Facebook and their Instagram links busking. You could just see the desperation of fame in their eyes. Because it was definitely not in their talent. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, there's the odd person that gets discovered on the streets, but they're talented people who can do this thing, and can do it really, really well. And then but you're pushed into this world of fame, quick wins, quick fames, make a quick buck, and it's easier than ever now to do it. So for the odd Greta, you're right. There's 10,000 things to turn you into a pessimist, from the one optimistic thing,
I think maybe the one difference now though is particularly let's take it from the woman's point of view, in that it's now on their terms, whereas before maybe they used to say like page 3 and grid girls. Probably a bad example actually, grid girls, because I know a lot of grid girls who were and still are up in arms about the whole anti-grid girl thing, because they do it because they enjoy it. They're not being forced. But certainly, I think in the days of old, in our generation, the 80s and the 90s, a lot of women were exploited for sure. However, now,
Hands of Terence Lager, perfect example.
Yeah, but whereas now it's them that are exploiting themselves. They're the power's there in their hands, isn't it? Because they're creating their own content to promote their own brand, which effectively is paying their rent and paying the mortgage or whatever it is, in some cases making them a shit ton of money. So I suppose the power is all there for them now, isn't it?
But it is, but it's what isn't. I think, obviously we're talking about motorbikes here. No, what it isn't is the fact that, like YouTube, for every one person in YouTube that's making an absolute fortune, how many people are being exploited by those platforms on the promise of something that's never going to happen for them.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if you if you start up a YouTube channel thinking that, you know, you're going to be the next Mr. Beast, you're going to be, you know, a YouTube multimillionaire. If you genuinely believe that, then I'd suggest you're going to see some money start coming in, because there's going to be a reason. There's going to be a reason why you think that. Whether it's just misguided self-belief or a deep down talent which you know you've got, either of those things are going to appeal to people. You know, like we like, I think as the public, we like a trier, don't we? And I think that can attract a market for sure, which in turn will attract views, which in turn gives you your ad revenue. But if it's just plain disillusioned, if you're just plain disillusioned, you know, and you have no actual meat to give in terms of content, then you're not going to get anywhere, are you?
And I think you're right. Less and less people see YouTube as the way for them to do that now. But they do see TikTok and you know, and all these kind of things. And then you read all these horror stories about the influencers, and I hate that word, but who are constantly trying to get things for free. And you read all these kind of stories and things about all this kind of stuff, and that gives you despair, because that's encouraging people to not be human. It's taking away the humanity and just making you a commodity. You know. And you're right. You know, they might last for a wee while, but having 1.6 million views in TikTok gets you hee-haw. You know, other than, you know, it's been shared around a bit. You know, and that's the thing. John used to put out TikToks for Outlander, and it was great for Outlander, and people saying, and he would get millions of views in his TikToks. But that's you know, what did that do for John? Nothing. Because it didn't get him anything, you know. But then John doesn't choose to try and walk into a hotel and say, I constantly get 1.6 million views on TikTok. Get me a free room. John just does it for the joy and the love of life, and just sharing a bit of fun. And if people enjoy it, great. Like we do with our podcast. If people enjoy it, brilliant. And as long as somebody's there to listen to it, great. Whether it's 1.6 million. The nice way is 1.6 million,
but that is how the world works now, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
totally,
your apparent success is now very much judged on your reach, your follower, subscriber count, all this sort of stuff. You know, PR companies and things like that. It's the first thing they look at is your sub count, your view count, your engagement rates, everything like that. That's what they're interested in. Even if you in John's industry as an actor, you know, you know, they look at your social media presence, they look at your followers and all these kind of things, and people who are, you know, I'm no disrespect to people, good luck getting parts and all these kind of things and everything, but there's a lot of people out there that are getting to do stuff because they've got thousands of followers, not because they're any good at it. You know, we've lost the searching for the talent, and again, it's all about the commodity and the numbers. So it's. I've actually I sort of made this decision last year, end of 22. Really, it was I've always had channel sponsors, you know, on the YouTube channel, but I started. There was just a couple of times. Some of them had. I don't like being told what to say. You know, I'm never going to do that, and I've always said to any companies that ever wanted to do any work together, like I'll say what I think, but I'll be fair about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just going to say something's fantastic and not give any negative. And if I think there's some negatives there, conversely, I'm not going to say something's shit. Without giving any either quantifying reasons why I think that, or any positives that might come with it. You know, there's very few things out there that are either 100% positive or 100% negative, are there? There's a lot of things go there. And just because I like it doesn't mean to say you're going to like it. So I've always want to be as fair as I possibly can. Because at the end of the day, if you go and spend your hard-earned money on something which I've recommended, and you think it's shite once you've got it and a waste of your money, well, you're never going to believe anything I say again, are you? Like, my integrity's gone then. So I kind of thought to myself, I don't just want to be, you know, you feel a bit of a prostitute really when you start thinking about it, in that these companies are basically, they're paying you for your reputation almost, you know. And I was like, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this anymore, and I want this anymore. You know, I don't want them in the background cracking a whip saying, right, I want a video for this and a video for that and a video for this, and we're bringing this out and you've got to do that. I was like, this isn't for me anymore. So I've sort of cut ties with a lot of them, and I've really only got, I think I've just got two now. Yeah, I've got two. I've got Kalimoto and I've got Canary at the moment, who are both, Kalimoto I use all the time anyway, and Canary, geez, you know, I go on trips over to Canary Islands to ride over there, and that it promotes itself. So it's you know, it's something I enjoy doing. So there's no hardship there, is there? Crikey. And you know, I just kind of think I'm much happier doing that. I still get emails from companies that want to like promote in videos and advertise in vids, and you know, could we do this? Can we do that? But I just look at it and I go, is that something I would use? And if it's not something I'm going to use, then no, thanks. What's the point? Why get involved with it? Plus, I like to actually use a bit of kit. You know, like a set of tires. I'll want to ride that set of tires from when I get it to when they need changing. Because tires change. You know, as the mileage goes through them, tires change. Metzler Rotec 01's prime example. First couple of 1,000 miles when they first came out, I thought they were fantastic, but then they hit about the halfway mark, and it was like a switch went, and all of a sudden they were horrendous. I remember having them. I took them across to the Picos. I did one tour on the new tire, fantastic, and then I did another tour on like the second half cycle of that tire. And it was dog shit. It was really slidey. It was horrible. Hated it.
It's what you call it. See, you're talking about rubber, right? There's something that, I don't know if you've ever done one, but we were looking back at the tail end. We did our last podcast, the 22. We looked back at some stats for the shows, and obviously the one we did with you was quite up there. But you unbelievably, you were only number 2. Our most popular show last year was all about rubber, and I don't mean in a, you mean,
and an OnlyFans way, no.
It was all about tires, and we had put it off for ages, and it was obviously one of our pals who said, "Listen, you need to do a show about tires because it's the talk. Everybody talks about
motive, so motive,
and." It went through the roof. It went absolutely through the roof. And I was like, how can people... And it was I felt it was one of the most boring things to write, you know what I mean, to get us prepared for. But obviously we learned loads. I mean, because once you start really getting into all the different compounds, how they're built, it was really quite informative. But it was like, why the fuck is this? Why is this the highest podcast of the year talking about tires? But apparently so. So there you go. There's a thought for you. You know what I mean? Be interesting to see if you do a tire show.
I will now. Yeah.
What the numbers look like.
But everyone's got a viewpoint on tires, don't they? Everyone has their own favourite tire for sure. And as we discussed earlier, what you like, I might hate, and conversely, you know, I might love what you hate. So it's just one of those things, isn't it?
I know.
Anyway, how did we get onto that topic? What were we talking about?
We totally digressed there. Oh, bikes of 23.
Yes, that's it. Patrick's question. That was about an hour and a half ago, wasn't it?
Hi, Patrick. If you're still here, Patrick, I'm with Iain, that new Diavo V4. I've always had a soft spot for the Diavo. And the V4, you mean, if it's the same V4 they've taken out of Multistrada, it'll be phenomenal to ride. But obviously Ian's kind of said that one already. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to stick with that Lowrider ST. Because I really want to see just how much the performance they've taken out of stuff and putting into that big Lowrider ST. Because the 117 Lowrider is fun, but it still feels like a bit of Harley in terms of getting it around corners.
Right.
But it's still definitely better than some of the, I mean, like a Road King or a Street Glide or anything like that. It's definitely better. But I think the ST, I think it'll be interesting. It'll be really, really interesting to take out.
Nice.
Yeah, go with one of those. Ideally with a 131 engine in it, that'd be ideal. But
it's going to be a lump in it.
Aye.
But I don't know if it's coming out this year. I'm hearing whispers possibly at the end of the year, more than likely 2024. It's got to be the new GS, isn't it? It's got to be the new GS. Whether it's going to be 1350, 1300, the 1400, who knows? Who knows?
Hopefully this year. Because the 1250s, what, 2-3 years old?
No, 1250 came out 2000 and...
Oh, I'm forgetting COVID year.
Yeah, it was the 2019 was the first of the GS Adventures, wasn't it? Because they're the ones, the first reg of 19 GS Adventures 1250s. They're the ones that have all the issues. Where when the bike gets hot, it won't restart. There was an electrical issue, something going on there, which allegedly they fixed. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Is it 90? Oh, yeah, of course it is. Yeah, what am I talking about? Yeah,
you're forgetting your 2 COVID years. Anytime you think about
totally right.
Happened, add 2 years.
That's right. Sorry, man. I was thinking in my head it was like 5 years ago. Jesus. No. I've jumped ahead. For me, I think it's going to have to be that new GS, just because I'm excited. I want to see what it's like, because that for me will be the make or break whether if I stay on a tractor or move to something else. We'll see.
KTM. KTM.
I am tempted. I am tempted with the KTM, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't like being a sheep, and everybody. I know GSs were popular before, but everyone is on them now, and I just fancy something different. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know what I fancy at the moment.
There's actually just kind of too much out there sometimes, isn't there?
KTM is you don't have to subscribe to it. You'll be all right.
Yeah, that's annoying, isn't it? Yeah. Everything's. I hate that. I hate all that bollocks. It's got all of it, but you can't have it till you.
I'm dragging out Ian's soapbox here. Hang on.
No. I covered that at our one. I'm not going to go off on one again for.
I did hear you'd had a rant.
Yeah. So, jeez, yeah. That's it.
Moving on.
Right,
Quick.
We'll move on. Cheers for that one, Patrick.
And with anger out with love.
That's it. Woosa. Next one, Louise Worsfold. Evening all and Happy New Year. How you doing, Louise? One quick question. What's the most important lesson that you've learned since last being on the podcast with Bruce? One lesson for life and one bike related. Ooh.
Yeah. Some folk are deep meaningful in this year.
I'm just.
Yeah, I like it. One lesson for the podcast, I think, is not to and as much. Probably quite a good one. That's probably quite good. Just do it. Just get out there and do it. Yeah, just don't. I think. Now that I've said don't and M, all I'm doing is and M, right? But it's make time to do that. You enjoy. I love doing the podcast, so reminding yourself you love doing it, because sometimes you can put it and go, oh, do you know what? I'm really not feeling it. But actually, once you start, so just do it. I don't want to go all Nike on you, but just do it. That's from a podcast. From a bike perspective, since the last time we were on the podcast, is to not be scared when you've made a mistake and get back up and go on it. Because obviously, I think I'd crashed my Harley at that point the last time we were on, and I was super, super apprehensive about being on that bike again, and I kind of fell out of love with it for a good while, and then something just clicked and went, no, you're in control of the bike. The bike's not in control of you. A bit like obviously when you're talking about your off-roading and stuff, and just reframing my approach to riding that bike again. Was so don't let something like that get back. Reframe. You're in charge, not the bike, and actually, I love, apart from this lack of luggage, which is another rant I had on our podcasts. But other than that, then just you know, find the, if something goes about our eye, find the love again in the bike, and find why you liked it in the first place. Although, to be fair, I didn't really have that much time. It was only 2 days from getting it, I crashed it. But you know, why did I want that bike in the first place, and rediscover it? You know, and to be fair, if I hadn't rediscovered it, I was ready to get rid of it. Absolutely, if it just wasn't going to do it for me. But to just find that spark again, and you are in control of your destiny, not some other thing that's happened to you. There you go.
I think you can apply that to just about every single aspect of life, can't you?
Yeah,
for
absolutely. Sure. Yeah.
If it's not bringing you any worth, ditch it, get rid of it, move on. Yeah.
But don't discard it without making sure that it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely. You know? Yeah. Gotcha.
We live in a throwaway culture, and that's not just in terms of electronics and food and all these kind of things. It affects our everyday outlook in life, and you see people, relationships breaking down, friendships breaking down, all these things, because people find it easier to throw things away than face
working at it
and working at it. I worked at loving that Sportster again, and then the second half of the season, once I got it back, I had a great time, and even when we went up to Tyndrum on it, I mean, I was just having an absolute ball on that bike. As Colin, our friend Como, controversial Colin, was trying to catch up with me on his CBR, and I'm just like, because I just rediscovered the love of that bike again, and I was ready to just go, do you know what, just get rid of it. But actually just, don't live in a throwaway culture, emotionally as well as consumerably, if that's a word.
It's been quite a deep one, this, hasn't it?
Yeah,
I'm enjoying this. I've enjoyed this.
I feel like we should have a button on the soundboard that plays that hour tune. Enjoy yourself. Have fun.
Ding! Woosah.
We're going to finish with a yoga tantra.
So I've got a Buddha's belly, so I'll give you some of my Buddha wisdom. That'll be fine.
That's it. That's where the saxophone came from. That's it.
And now it's a quick shout out from this week's sponsor, OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, which is make sure that you explore it thoroughly before you decide to throw it away.
This is it. Completed it.
Second sponsor, Crayola crayons. There you go.
Oh my God! Somebody's getting an email for Crayola.
Oh wow!
Never mind. We'd just like to be a part of the show.
I think we're going to have.
Actually, no, you're all right.
I think this podcast, we're probably going to lose a whole load of followers, but we'll probably gain some as well. So we'll probably just tread water on this one. Yeah, definitely.
You're still here at this point. Well done.
What about yourself, Darren? Now, most important lesson you've learned?
I think for the bike, I think it's just take those roads that you've passed by a million times and never took.
Aye.
Because this year I made a point of going, right, do you know what? I've got a couple of hours, I'm just going to get my Todd and I'm going to just go. And the amount of times I've came across a wee road and wee single track roads, dirt roads, and went, I've seen that road like for years. I wonder where it goes. Fuck it. And then go on it and just see, and have discovered some little cracking technical, wee roads that have got loads of twisties and loads of overhangs, and it's just so much fun. And I think that's the thing, is that whereas before it was just right, I'm going here and I'm going to go from there to there, and I know that I'm going to take this twisty road, I'm going to take the A whatever or the B whatever, and have passed by loads of roads that are in and around where you live, that, you've passed by them a million times. Just look at them and go, bugger it, I'm going to go down that road and see where it goes. What's the worst that can happen? It's a dead end, a turn and come back away. You might get a nice wee picture halfway down that road because there's no one on it. And there's an electrical pylon in the background. Just go for it. Just definitely take them.
There's a saying in life I like about that: take the road less travelled. Bosh.
Absolutely.
Aye. It's one of the ones I know, because obviously Kalimoto, you stick it on like insanely twisty, and it takes you down some like fucking weird roads.
Goat tracks. Yeah.
That adds you an extra hour onto where you're going. But see, this year, that's actually been quite fun.
Aye.
There's a couple of times that you've kind of hit them and you kind of, well, hey, wait a minute, what was that on the road? Don't know what I hit there. Who cares? And just obviously be careful who you're out with as well, because I did take a couple of those roads with a mate of ours who rides an MT10 and he was hanging well back. And I'm going, why is he hanging so well back? But obviously the MT10 doesn't like riding on cool shit and all that as much as like the big pan does. So I was like, oh, I better, we'll get onto some normal roads and take it from there.
And they need a petrol station every 20 miles.
A petrol station every 20 miles. Yeah. He's going to trade up for an electric so that he needs to stop less. I think the other thing, which I don't think is so much a life lesson, is again, just if you want to do something, just go and do it. Do you know what I mean? And I know you've talked about this for years and we're kind of preaching to the converted here. But I think this year especially, we've just kind of went, do you know what? Fuck it. Let's just try stuff. Let's just speak to people. Let's just go and sometimes those have been some of the kind of good interactions we've had. Do you know what I mean? Like, talking to people that you would never ever talk to before. We've just been out on the road and started talking to people. And you go, wait a minute, and it's just sparked a whole conversation and you're off and running. So do that, and don't forget your friends is the other one, because some of the best rides this year have literally been coffee runs, literally like a 30-minute jaunt along a back road and it's stop for a coffee and a blether, and then another wee hour and a half taking the long way in to get back to wherever we're going or parting ways. And I've kind of missed those, just mainly focusing on just being it myself. So definitely do more of that, even if it is just that.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things I'm so excited for John passing his test, is being able to just do that with him. Because when Darren and I scoot out together, even if it's going down to Larks or Chips or something like that, it's one of those things where you just go, just a wee evening of just been out and doing that, and you kind of miss it. And it's, I suppose in a way we're getting a bit melancholy because it's winter and we're not getting out very much anyway. But to just share that, and I've always been a hand solo, as we call it, in terms of riding. I quite like being on my own, but smaller groups or just one or two people, great fun, so much fun. So,
I know you. Sorry, go on.
I'm going to tell you, another thing is that we've done more this year from a podcast perspective. Is we've not been as perfectionist this year. Before, we used to take the whole audio in and we used to cut out all the ums and ehs and silences that maybe we thought were a wee bit too long and all that kind of stuff. We cut that out. This year, we just kind of went, do you know what, bugger it. Unless there's something that's definitely too controversial that we should take out, which, again, we usually say, this is just our opinions. If you don't like it, tough. I mean, but 9 times out of 10, everything just gets left in so that doesn't have to be perfection. Sometimes the non-perfection is actually the funniest bits. Like the Difficult Second album, me not being able to sling 2 words together for a good, 10 minutes because the tears, I could barely breathe. The tears were running down my face. I was in hysterics. Actually made so really good content. I had folk messaging us going, oh my God, I nearly wet myself at the fact that you couldn't speak. Do you know what I mean? So, it doesn't have to be perfection. Just,
it's a natural conversation, isn't it? That's I found that with some podcasts that you listen to, which are highly produced. You can tell they're highly edited and they're heavily produced. The audio sounds amazing, but you pick up on it, maybe even subliminal, and maybe you just notice it. But you can tell it's not a oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a natural conversation. Something about it just puts you almost on edge. It's like, well, something's not right there. But when a conversation is like this, when it's just left, it's just a what's the word I'm looking for? I keep wanting to say a biodegradable. It's not biodegradable.
It's organic.
Organic. That's the word. Cheers, that's the one I'm looking for. When it's just like an organic conversation, it's just untouched. Boff, there it is. It's so much. I just think people engage with it a lot more, and it's so much easier to follow and listen to, unless it's like me nasally whining with my man flu. Sorry.
Aye.
Anyway, yes. something I wanted to pick up on what you said there, Dan, about, I've been preaching about it. Get out there, live your life, blah, 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 blah. I still have to remind myself of that all the time, because I get wrapped up in my own shite and forget, this message that changed my life. I forget it, and sometimes my wife has to turn around to me and go, hang on, what about live your life? You haven't been out on a bike for months. She's like, get out, go and ride somewhere, go and do something. And that's definitely something I need to watch more, because I will just sit in my office and I'll edit. And the longer I just sit in the office and edit and do my podcasts, I sort of withdraw, because I'm perfectly happy on my own. I'm perfectly happy in my own sort of space. Although I love getting out and meeting people and being like the social butterfly. I love doing all that. But I can also quite happily just sit in a wee dark office for months just by myself and never go outside. No problem. And the more I do that, the sort of less appealing going outside is. It's really weird. Like I then have to force myself out and go out and meet people again, where I go, oh yeah, this is what I like doing. I like doing this. It is weird.
Yeah, my wife has to keep reminding me that as well. I'm the exact same. You get into a kind of comfort zone where you don't have to. It's just easy and for you, but actually you forget about all the other stuff that actually brings you joy. And unfortunately, you can then sit and edit and obsess with the next bit of kit and say, "Oh, I really want a loop deck, or I really want this to start in it, or I want to, kind of, get this add on, or I want to learn, and you can do all that, but there's no point in learning or doing or getting all these things if you're not using them for the things you enjoy."
100%.
So right back at the start, what we're talking about, it's about just remind yourself, we've only got so many trips around the sun, so don't be stuck in a hole. Go and smile at the sun every time you pass it. That's
love it. Love that.
Do you find though, Bruce, that see that time you go, do you know what? I've got a couple of hours to kill. I'm going to get on the bike, and you go, and I'm not filming anything. I'm just leaving the cameras here. I'm not going to worry about changing batteries and SD cards and whatever. I'm just going to go out and enjoy. Do you not find those runs are actually really, really enjoyable? You get in the zone. You just totally are lit. I mean, is that you can literally see everything coming. Everything goes right. Your lines are perfect. I mean, you couldn't have rode that any better. And I think it's because you're not then thinking about, oh, I need to look at this and I need to look at that, and look at that out there, and I need to keep talking. And some of them this year has been brilliant.
I've only done one that I can think of in the last few years where I've gone out and I've not filmed anything. And that was, I was out with Mr. Fish, John, official Mr. Fish. He's a YouTuber. And my mate Martin, the one-legged pirate. The three of us went out for, we sort of got into the habit of every couple of months, just the three of us would just go out on the bike and go for a ride. And it was really nice because I hadn't done that in so long, just going out for a ride for the sake of a ride, I wasn't filming anything. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't even take my cameras, just went off. And it was awesome. It was like proper recharge the soul. It was like, oh, wow, this is why you get into biking. This is great fun.
Smells like a New Year's resolution.
But I tell you what it did do is I also found I missed having the cameras. So although I really enjoyed just being out and riding, I was like, the whole time I was there and I was thinking, oh, this would have been really, stuff that you're just chatting about. You could make a really good vid out of this. And then it almost got like the creative juices flowing again. It kick-started everything. And I had an appetite for creating content again when I got back. So I think it's just finding that balance, isn't it? Yeah, you definitely need to find a balance more, because I haven't found that balance yet. I still love what I do, don't get me wrong. I'm not playing the violin here, but you do need to find a balance at some point, somewhere.
No, because the last thing I need you playing a violin and him playing a fucking
What would you play, Dan?
Do you want the broadcaster answer?
No.
My guitar's sitting there.
All right.
I'll sit there. Do you know what I mean? Aye. So
we got ourselves a wee band going here, I think.
Absolutely. A guitar, violin, saxophone combo is maybe not the bit easy to sell, to be fair. You know what I mean? But
some sort of obscure folk band.
Exactly.
It's definitely obscure.
Mangled and Son or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right, we've been going over 2 hours here, boys. There's a couple of questions left, but I'm very conscious of time dragging on here. Carl Dutt's Rideouts. If you could go back in time and tell your 16-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
Buy a bike.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't start riding until my 30s, so yeah.
Same.
Do it now. Do it there. Just go out and get your bike, you know, or do a couple of years of driving your car and then get a bike. Get the road sense and then get a bike.
Yeah. I think I'd kill myself. I think if I was to have jumped on a bike, it's I know what I was like in a car, and I was too fast a driver in a car, and I think if I'd got on a motorbike, I'd have probably. I felt invincible at 34, 35 years of age. I think it's 16, 17, 18. I think I'd probably kill myself. I think for me at 16, it would have been, I was all about rugby in those days. I was right into my rugby. And I wish I didn't give up. I gave up. And I was just at the point of I'd had a trial for Scotland at under 18 or under 19, and I sort of gave up. I didn't make it. I didn't make the first squad, and I just sort of gave up after that. And I wish I'd stuck at it. You know, that's one little. I don't like to have regrets in life, but that's one little thing that I'm just like, if only, what would have happened? I wonder what would have happened. Could you have done it? You know?
Yeah.
So,
but do you not think though that if you were to go back and say to yourself, right, stick in. You know what I mean, stick in. It'll be. You're not going to get that first team trial, but something else. Just stick in. Do you know then think that you might know around the world? You might know Nicky. You mean Mrs. Teapot? You might not have done. You might not have done that. You wouldn't have been sitting here talking shite, drinking beer with us. Do you know what I mean? For all. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you know what I mean, all the kind of things that have led up to that, you might never have done. You know what I mean?
That's fair, and that's why I often don't like to have regrets, because I think your life's path is your life's path, and it's brought you to where you currently are, and where you currently are is not necessarily where you're going to stay. It's not necessarily where you're destined to be for forever. Do you know what I mean? It's like. Everyone's on a wee journey here, aren't we? And it's only over when you give up. So you just keep. If you're not happy with what you're doing, identify what you need to change, make the changes, and go for it. And that's kind of it, isn't it?
Iain, what would you have done at 16?
I'd probably just said, well, I think I'd probably just said, in a couple of years' time, when that girl dumps you, don't walk 2 miles and stand at the deli counter, with tears and snotters, asking for her back. Save yourself a whole lot of hassle. Do you know what I mean? Save yourself a whole lot of hassle. If you're going to the deli, at least pick yourself up a wee Portuguese custard tart to keep you going on the way home. I think probably.
What was her name? The Portuguese custard tart.
The Portuguese custard tart, yeah. I couldn't possibly say. But and I've got a funny feeling that Jennifer Cow will never listen to this podcast, so I think I'm pretty safe with that one. You know what I mean?
Mate, how random would that be if you got a little message?
I know. That'd be absolutely bizarre, wouldn't it? Hi, how you doing? So
I made such a mistake, Iain.
Yeah, save yourself a 2 mile walk and a box full of Kleenex. Use that box full of Kleenex or something else. You know what I mean?
Jennifer who?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Carl, I'm not sure if that was the in-depth question that you wanted.
There you go. No, there you go. All good. You'll never find that was a maiden name. So,
and just so that Carl doesn't waste 2 hours of his life trying
to. Right. Cheers to that one, Carl. Next one. 2 Bob Rocket. Happy New Year, all. Simple question. Still game or Gary Tank Commander? What is Gary Tank Commander? What is that? I don't understand.
Gary Tank Commander's what's his name? Greg something, isn't it? He was on Richard Osman's
Tavish or something like that. Is it
McHugh or something, isn't it? Is it McHugh?
Yeah.
And he was on Richard Osman's House of Games the other night, funnily enough. actually, surprisingly enough. But Gary Tank Commander, aye. And
He's
I phoned
the
up for a
bastard.
pizza, aye.
He's the
So
bastard.
he's Gary Tank Commander is a comedy. He's a soldier, but he's a quite kind of camp, and he loves a spray tan and everything, you know.
Right.
Basically, everything you do not expect a tank commander or a soldier to be is the Gary Tank Commander. That's a really difficult one. That is so difficult because Still Game is classic. Still Game is an absolute, you know, piece. But Still Game probably went on a bit too long. As you know, I'm being controversial here. Probably went on a bit too long, and it wasn't as good. You know, like all these things. Only an Excuse went on a bit too long. You know, in my opinion, Two Doors Down's going on a bit too long. And you know, all these things. You know, and you watch like Chewing the Fat, and the first few Chewing the Fat is brilliant, but you know, everything goes on a bit too long. Gary Tank Commander probably stopped at its peak.
Right.
So of you know,
it's kept you wanting more.
It's kept you wanting a bit more. Yeah, absolutely. So if I was comparing the Still Game characters with Gary Tank Commander, then I think the Jack and Victor, especially when they were in Chewing the Fat, and the songs that they sang, they're really offensive.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Loved it.
Absolutely outstanding. That one. So you know, whereas as an ensemble piece of Gary Tank Commander, I just can't call that. You know, you just thought that'd been easy, but I can't call that.
Picking one of your favourite Waynes. I mean, it is quite.
No, that's actually easier. I've only got one. It's dead easy. Do you know what I mean? So,
and if I pick one or the other, one of my Waynes is going to fall out with me because one loves Gary Tank Commander and the other one loves Still Game. So it's difficult.
Yeah, but life's tough, though. Life's tough, Darren. You need to make a choice.
I think Gary Tank Commander is very Marmite. A lot of people love it, and the people that don't love it, they hate it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's either your sense of humour or it's not sense of humour. Yeah. Still Game, everybody just seems to get because I think everybody can familiarise themselves with two old, procrastinating, men who just have got to that point in life where they just call it like they see it. Do you know what I mean? And then sometimes don't call it because they're naive to it. If I was picking between the two and I could only watch one, I would watch Still Game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sorry to my youngest, who's probably in there screaming right now.
I've never seen Gary Tank Commander, but I totally agree with what you just said about Still Game. You know, it appeals even folk who aren't Scottish. You know, I had mates down here in the Met in London who piss themselves. They'll come up to me and go, "Have you seen this?" And they'll show me like a YouTube clip of Still Game of the two boys chatting. And I just like, man, that's that's like 20 years old, 30 years old or whatever it is. And it appeals to everybody, doesn't it?
It does. And it's one of the ones you can go back and watch it and it's just still just as funny.
Aye.
I mean,
I'll probably go Still Game, right? I will go Still Game and it was close, but only because I don't quote anything from Gary Tank Commander.
Aye.
You know, there's anything like particularly quotable from Gary Tank Commander, really, but literally any pub you walk into, somebody's going to go 2 pint shipwreck. Do you know what I mean? That is going to happen, you know. And
especially
about the insults that they always gave to Bobby the barman, probably always that was worth watching the whole show just for that moment when they walked in. And hit them with the whatever what the next insult's going to be.
The one right now, because obviously the weather's been a bit like frozen. I mean, we've been taking when we go to take the dogs out. You know what I mean? No, we as in me and Ian. Do you know what I mean? Me and the wife. We'll go right. Remember, and put your Timson 1999s on your thermic. Do you know what I mean? So that you don't go in your arse. Do you know what I mean? Because in that game, it's Still Game. So
aye. It's brilliant.
I think they pushed the boat. I think they pushed the luck a bit trying to sell whiskey. I'm being honest. You know what I mean?
You know what? Everybody's doing it. Sam Hume's got his thing. Jackie Victor got their thing now. It's the thing to do now. Get in touch with it, you know.
Totally. Everyone's at it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, somehow.
With Teapot whiskey? No, I won't do that. Although, never say never.
Probably could. We'll work together. I'll brew the beer, Teapot Brew. You know what I mean?
Your beer's actually quite good.
Is it?
Yeah, his beer's quite good.
Not made one for a while, but I've got ingredients in just now for a probably a kind of coffee porter. I think is
Let's
what
do
we'll
it.
do.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We'll send you some down.
Right, you're on. We'll do some marketing.
That's it. Sponsored by Cubble Brewing Company. So my mate and I, my mate Scubby. What's that?
Sponsored by Crayola.
Sponsored by Crayola. Oh, Crayola brew. Put it in a brown
definitely
bottle.
Will be Crayola, won't it? It will be.
The brown bottle that never ends. Do you know what I mean?
I'm seeing the artwork now.
Yeah. There we go. So,
Right.
Yes.
Last question on Patreon. Stu Lawton. Evening all, Happy New Year, etc., etc.
Happy New Year, Stu.
Happy New Year, Stu. Listening to your last podcast of 2022, it's apparent you like to share your singing voice with others. Are you planning on getting any lessons in 23? Sorry, I couldn't resist. Who was singing?
Oh, we do it all the time.
I was singing all the time, yeah.
Do it all the time. The last one was the Spice Girls.
It was, yeah.
We just an impromptu chorus of Two Becomes One.
Go on,
I don't know how that started, actually. I genuinely don't. I think, see, because me and Ian have got a love for music, right? And him and I are both we're very similar, I think, in our tastes in terms of there is none, right? We just listen to anything.
We have no taste, yeah.
I mean, and I think it's probably, one of the first shows you were talking about your playlist.
Aye.
And it was like 1 minute it had this on it, and next minute it had something like completely random.
I went from something like Tom Waits, some classic Tom Waits, to Rick Astley. And then, you know what I mean? So, you know, and then possibly a wee bit of jazz, and, you know, it's just tunes that you wouldn't turn off if they come on. Yeah.
That's the word,
and,
eclectic.
You know, and I think it's such a pain in the neck to change music when you're on the bike, right? When you're listening to the bike. So I had to really think of tunes that there's no theme or anything, but it's just, you know, that if it comes up on the radio, you don't turn it off.
Aye.
And and the pictures. Now, some of the tunes, obviously, Darren was like, what? You know, but you really turn it off.
Rick Astley on a motorbike, seriously. Any offence, Rick, if you're listening.
No.
I mean, I mean,
exactly. So, you know.
But did you start singing along? Bet you would. I bet you would.
Of course you would.
Did you put your handbag down to dance around about it when you were on the bike listening to Rick Astley? What the you know what I mean?
But I've had 29 years of presenting and performing karaoke, right? So, my voice will never get any better. So I've got no intention of taking lessons. That what you hear is what you get, you know. And some people say it's good, other people walk out of the pub in despair. But it's, you know, it's stood me well for 29 years. But yeah, but that's songs that I know I can sing. Not necessarily the Spice Girls. It's maybe slightly out with my technical ability, as I have some, and they don't. You know,
what is your song? The one that you get up there and you belt out,
Billy Joel, Piano Man with harmonica.
You play the harmonica?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I've got to admit, that's pretty damn cool.
When you walk into a karaoke, right, and you go Piano Man, and you do it in the first couple of open bars,
and you bring out
the harmonica and go na 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 na. The whole pub just looks at you, and then you just see people going, "Hey, he's playing it. He's actually playing it." You know, and by the end of it, the whole pub just cheers and goes. It's just like that's just one of those moments. That's it. That's the.
Cannot wait to the first night you're doing it, and somebody comes in and goes, "Can you do Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty?"
And I'll whip out the saxophone. Yeah, funny you should mention that.
Well, actually, yes, I can.
Yes. So I do that, and then there's a couple of other songs like "Can Teat Work Together." I'll play the blues harmonica solo in the middle of that and stuff like that. So basically, karaoke just lets me show off. So that's that's what
I'm deeply envious of people like you with talent. I wish I had a talent for something.
I haven't played it yet, though.
That's a good point. I'm taking his word for it.
To be fair, because you're playing a harmonica, you can get away with sounding crap singing because nobody cares by that point, and they're just impressed. You know, you can play the harmonica.
He's playing the mouth organ.
But I will present. I will sing anything. If I know it, I'll sing it for people, whether I like it or not. You know, so there's the pub I usually do on a Saturday sometimes in Glasgow. There's a wee woman that always says, "Can you sing me Elvis? Can you sing me Michael Bublé? And can you do Piano Man?" So that's the three songs that she wants to hear. I'm an Elvis one, which is usually I Just Can't Help Believing. Then it's Michael Bublé, which is probably going to be Lost, or Home, and then obviously Piano Man. But I'll wait till the pub's full so that I get that full impact of impressive people. You know what I mean? It's terrible. So just ego massage. You know what I mean?
Why not?
If I go anywhere,
why not?
If I go anywhere, it's always to hand, a harmonica. So if I go anywhere, I take it with me just in case it's a karaoke. And when I went to Ireland, a couple of months ago to visit my brother, we ended up in a pub and they decided to fire up the karaoke, had the harmonica with me. And now every time my brother goes into the pub, they go, "You come up to sing, David, it's just a shame your brother's not here." He's raging. It's brilliant. So you're good, David, but wish your brother was here. I'm like, that's
brilliant. You can't compete with that, can you? No, you cannot compete.
Your brother's going to move now because he's local. He's shamed that he's on local.
I know.
He's like, again.
His nickname was Karaoke Dave right up until the day I popped in. Do you know what I mean? Now he's just Dave again.
I knew he walks at the door and they all go like that and lean near the back to see.
Yeah. He's not with him. No, okay. Never mind.
We'll make do with that's life. That's fine. Okay.
Just turn that off now. He's finished. That's him in. Just turn it off.
Right, last one from Stu. He's got, on a more serious note, do you have any big plans for the podcast in 2023?
I think we kind of said about that at the start, getting on more bikes, and the new stuff and everything's great. But I think we want to try and get on some more bikes and give some real average biker opinions, actual real, what it was actually like to be on these beasts, rather than talking about them in the news, but actually getting a chance to be on them and spend some time enjoying that, and hopefully getting some more kind of video content and stuff out along with it, as well. Because Darren's girl said she's doing a lot of our social stuff now, and she's actually going to be working with me in a couple of weddings and things, which is really cool, doing the videos and stuff with me.
Oh, nice.
So we'll be we'll be using those talents and skills a bit more, hopefully.
Nice one. I
hope
like
that's what you're expecting, Dan, because that's what I'm expecting.
I'll be honest, right? I'm still in holiday mode. I haven't really thought about it yet. No, I think you're right. I think I would like to get another cut of guests on, because I enjoyed that side of it last year. But definitely getting on some of the new bikes. We talked about obviously the Diavo, and we're lucky enough there's a Ducati dealership that's quite close to us, and we know a couple of folk that work there, so we should be fairly set. Means we don't have to go trying to chase like Ducati UK or whoever it may be. So that rigmarole, especially when we're up here. But I think there's another couple I think we'd like to go. Like we'd go through to Indian and then Suzuki for some reason. I'm desperate to try that 1050 DE because I had to sit on it at Birmingham and it's super comfy. Even when you're standing in the pegs, it's really comfy. And I don't know if that's just.
Are you really impressed with that? Yeah,
I was quite impressed with that. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not a massive Suzuki fan. Do you know what I mean? But I was quite taken with that, and I was really taken with the Katana actually when I was standing in front of it, and then Ian fucking ruined it and went, "Oh, can you see the back? It's watching," which just ruined it. Do you know what I mean?
That was awful.
I was just smitten with the front. I love that, the fact that they've kept it looking the way it did back in the 80s. Do you know what I mean?
It's never done it for me, that bike. Never.
It's just something different. But then I can't talk. Do you know what I mean? I'm driving a Mack truck, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? So, I like square headlights, apparently.
Aye. I always think with Suzuki, it's a shame. There's Suzuki are a brand that are they're just overlooked by so many of us, aren't there? Like I think when you chat to anybody about Suzuki bikes, everyone realizes that you get a lot of bike for the money with a Suzuki. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, they never really produce a bad bike, do they? There's always a lot there, and it's always very good. It never excels, but it's always very good. It does it. But people just seem to overlook it. Like that new GSX-S 1000. Genuinely, I think that's one of the best road bikes I've ever ridden. It was amazing. It is amazing. It's a fantastic machine. But does it get the accolades and the sales that it it warrants. No, it's maybe okay. Looks probably hold it back quite considerably there. A lot of people don't like that headlight arrangement, but it's a fantastic bike to ride. It's genuinely really, really good.
And it's one of those ones. Suzuki have been going for, years, years,
decades,
and they were, they were one of the big. You had Honda, you had Suzuki, and you had Yamaha, and they were the big three. Do you know what I mean? For a long, long time, and for whatever reason, you're right. Folk just seem to forget about Suzuki. And again, we'd stumbled by the stall, and I was like, I said, that 1050 is actually quite nice. Do you know what I mean? I think it was in yellow, which kind of helped, do you know what I mean? Because we do like a bit of a yellow bike. I'm going to caveat that, Ian, a spoiler for the next show, but the new Pan America is out in yellow. It's scorching.
I've seen it, and I've gone off yellow bikes.
But I had a sit on it at that point, and I was like that. I says to Ian, this is super comfy. And I stood up on the pegs, and I was like, Christ, it's just as comfy standing up. Oh, I need to get a shot in this. I need to get a wee shot. Do you know what I mean?
My very first bike was a Suzuki, because back in, that was 2004, and it was like, you either went to Honda, Suzuki, or Yamaha. That was it. That was the three, as you say. And, for the money, brand new GSXF, so it was essentially just your Bandit with a fairing on it. Do you know what I mean? But and it was like less than $4,000 for a brand new bike, straight out the factory, picked up in Cooper, rode it home, and it was like, it just, I will always have a soft spot for Suzuki, but also the image is the commuter's bike, the kind of the one that everyone kind of, it's just there in the background. It's a bit of a kind of, it's a reliable old man kind of thing, I mean, you see bandits, that are 3,000 years old, still rattling about,
Great bike, great fun.
Great bike, great fun, yeah, absolutely. When somebody ran into my bike, my Suzuki, and I had a Bandit on loan, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. You just jumped on it, and you could just scoot about with it and everything. But
just wring its neck and have great fun on it, couldn't you?
It just doesn't set the world on fire when somebody rides by you in one. Hayabusas, from a technical perspective, fast as, especially before they put all the safety features in, when it was just pure power, but big ugly buggers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're never going to get used that unless you go to the Autobahn or go on track. Why would you spend all that money to buy a booster and then take it on the track and potentially win it?
But then the new one, that new Hayabusa, I took that out a couple of years ago, and it definitely, I mean, I think across the range of all Suzukis that I've ridden within the last few years, they all seem to have much more usable power now. Like a Suzuki inline 4 engine, the Gixxer, perfect example, did nothing till you got to like 8,000-9,000 revs, and then all of a sudden it was just off it went. You used to have to ride the Gixxers in second gear all the time. You do 100 mile an hour in second gear, no problem. And the old Busas were like that, weren't they? They did nothing until you needed to get the revs up, and then there was that insane power. But the new one just seemed to be much more. Maybe I changed as a rider. I don't know, but it just felt like it was much more usable on the road, and I actually really liked it. I didn't like the first Busa when I tried it, but that latest one, it was brilliant. Really enjoyed it.
I think the first thing we saw one was right back at the kind of early start of the season last year, wasn't it? And we had went to there's a dealership in and around where we are called West Coast, and they're Harley and Triumph, right? Yeah. And they decided like what Glasgow was missing was like a bike night, and that's in terms of anybody could turn up. It didn't have to be Harley, it didn't have to be Triumph, it could be anything you liked. You could turn up, right? Didn't matter. They put music on, and it was all free to get in. Obviously, the snack van thing there, like a chuck wagon, if you want to eat stuff and whatever. And it was just
they kept the shop open if you want to buy a t-shirt or that kind of thing. But
but there's a whole group of people there with different bikes, chatting away. He met a whole load of different people at different things.
I think that first night was like a 1926 Indian sitting. Somebody brought
Next to Hayabusa, a brand spanking new Hayabusa. I mean, it still had to be fucking rubber pellets on the tires. How brand new it was. Do you know what I mean? And it was like, where else can you go and see a brand new Busa sitting next to a 1929 or 1926 Indian that's pissing oil all over the but apparently the guy in the Indian, he rode that nearly every day.
Wow.
Flat. Fair play. Do you know what I mean? But it was literally a bicycle with an engine sitting inside it. Do you know what I mean? But it was quite cool.
Have you ever ridden any of the old classic bikes? I took out was it a 1930 odd one, a 1940 and a 1950. I had a BSA, a Francis Barnett. I can't remember what the other one was. My mate, him and his dad have reconditioned, rebuilt 3 classic bikes. And I tell you what, they were great fun to ride. Great, really temperamental. They live and they breathe. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
I bet you they bikes have got character.
Oh, aye, totally.
I bet it is just total character. Do you know what I mean?
And they don't feel as alien as I thought they would. You know, I thought it would be a totally different riding experience to riding the modern bikes. And in a way, yeah, of course they are. You know, there's no ABS, there's no slipper clutches, you haven't got the same level of power, there's none of that. But it's still an engine with 2 wheels, and you know, and I still had the same sort of feeling from it, almost more engaging because it is so mechanical. There's no electronics on it at all, so it really feels like a living, breathing entity. This thing that you're on, the
absolute opposite of riding by wire, just like yeah, totally.
And that's the problem these days. Is so many these electrical bikes. Like I could go to my bike just now and go into the diagnostics page, and I'll tell you, there's probably a whole load of errors in there, which would just be something like it just didn't start the first time. It started the second time. You know what I mean? Because it's been sat for a week without going anywhere, and it'll throw up an error code, and there'll be loads of them. None of them are actually.
That's because it's a Harley.
Again, it's like, do you know what? See, as long as it eventually starts and goes, I'm not that bothered. I mean, you're right. There's probably loads of. Look at the KTM. Do you know what I mean?
Character.
It's millennial character. But you look at that KTM. You look at the electrical problems that KTM's have had. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know you've had bother with them. I know there's one of the guys who's that I ride with the IAM guys. He's got one, and it was just a random battery issue.
Yeah. And
then started throwing up errors about kickstand and all sorts. And all it was it was a wee tiny battery. Aye. And he had a spare one in his box, and he just took it and he swapped it out. The bike was like, that's fine, mate, let's go.
Yeah.
That, you mean, causes a whole rake of problems. You think, oh, the bike's totally fucked. No, it's just a wee tiny battery placed, and the bike's fine. You go.
Do you know, every KTM I've had as a loan bike, bear in mind these come from KTM UK themselves, every single one has had an electrical issue on it. And the Super Duke, the bike I totally fell in love with, that had a proper mechanical issue. It just dumped all its fluids on the ground. But I still love them. I still love the KTMs. You know, like that is the bike that puts a smile on my face when I think about riding it. But I wouldn't own one at the moment purely because of those issues. And even if that is it's just a wee battery that needs changing, for peace of mind, when I get those error codes, I'm still going to have to take that back to the dealership. And I haven't got a decent KTM dealership near me that I'd be happy to take my bike to. So, you know, for now.
That's the thing. We're the same. I think you need is KTM's Perth. For us.
Aye.
Which again, it's only an hour and 20 minutes or so on the road. Do you know what I mean? And it's an all right wee run, even going straight up the motorway. It's an all right wee run.
It's a huge factor on what bike you're going to go for. You know, I mean, the Indian, we've not got an Indian dealership in the west of Scotland. So it's
have you not?
No, you got to through Edinburgh for that. So
wow,
you know, so even just that would say, well, do you know what? I'm not going to bother looking at Indians because I don't want to have that level of hassle if something goes wrong. You know, West Coast just up the road, they're doing Triumphs and they're doing Harleys. So probably if I was going from 2 down to 1, it'd be a new Harley or a new Triumph because of the. But there's Ducati, of course, the Apple. But but one of those ones, something that's near me, just so that you could, because as you say, you want to trust where it's going, and trust that it'll get there.
This is the thing. You think about. I mean, I'm not going to get all patriotic, but Glasgow's outside of London. Take London aside, Glasgow's by area and stuff is the biggest city in the UK. Right, you take London into the equation. It's massive.
Once you add Greater Glasgow in, yeah.
Aye, right. And yet in Glasgow, you've got Honda, Triumph, Harley Davidson, Ducati. That's it. Really? If you want to go Yamaha, you need to go about 30 miles down to the west coast, heading towards the seaside. If you want, if Edinburgh's got Suzuki and you got a Royal Enfield here as well, sorry. Edinburgh's got Triumph, Harley, it's got Indian, it's got Suzuki.
BMW.
Yes, and there's a BMW in East Kilbride, so that's your closest to Glasgow, isn't it? But you're still out with Glasgow.
Oh, no, they've moved now. Sorry, they've moved. They're up in Port Glasgow now, so they've moved.
But then Edinburgh's only 40 mile away from Glasgow, isn't it? It's not far.
But it's Edinburgh.
Well, it's the other end of the country.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's still 40 miles.
It's Edinburgh. You know what I mean?
I just had to go almost 2 hours. Well, it's about an hour and 35 minutes to get my bike serviced. Bloody down near Brighton. There is a closer BMW, but I'm not happy with the service you get there. So I'd rather go further and and get good quality service.
I think I might know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of people probably know the one I'm talking about, but I've just not been impressed. It's changed hands recently, and I'm just not been impressed with it.
I think we are being a bit. I mean, again, it's one of those ones. I think you kind of go. It's probably back to that whole millennial. You mean the way that times are at the minute? We kind of want stuff now. Do you know what I mean? So we want everything just kind of at hand, just so we can go and it's there. And you forget if you go back, 10, 15 years, probably half of them that were there now aren't even there. So maybe we should just stop procrastinating a bit.
But I'll happily travel a greater distance to get a better customer service. Even if I do have there's bike dealerships in Maidstone right here, but I won't go there because I've not had great customer service when I've been in the shop. So I'm not going to give them any more of my money, and I'm certainly not going to trust them with any of my bikes. Do you know what I mean? So I'd much rather go somewhere where I've had a good experience and I feel like I've been treated like a valued customer. I'll quite happily go there and give them my repeat custom because, why wouldn't I? You know what I mean?
Especially the money you're paying nowadays for brand new bikes, especially the bikes that we're all riding and talking about. Do you know what I mean? We're talking not kicking the arse off £20,000, which is a
easy
lot for a new bike. Do you know what I mean? So why should you not expect the best customer service?
Absolutely, totally. Right, gents. That is, excuse me, sorry, but that is over 2 hours. In fact, that's 2 hours 40 minutes we've been chatting. I was thinking I was going to keep this to a 2 hour limit on this one. Not a chance. We still have a question over on Instagram, but I'm looking at it, and that is going to be one which we would talk at least for another half an hour on, I think. So how about we call it quits for this evening, and I would love to get you back on again at some point in 2023.
Anytime.
How does that sound?
Again, it was just, would you call it? I know we talked and you'd said about coming back on. We were delighted and we're like, aye, that's fine. Happy days. Enjoyed ourselves the last time. So, and then the fact that you were in a bit of a pickle, happy to help out.
I appreciate you helping me out. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Vanessa, I'm listening. You was all beer.
Yeah, exactly. Aye, but you did get out of the poo question from Mark Fulcher. I can't believe he was going to ask that.
That was question of the night, if you ask me.
I think it is Crayola. A Crayola.
It's created a new line of t-shirts.
Love it.
A thin brown line of t-shirts.
Very good. Very good. Oh, I could do it from the thin blue to the... Love it.
Love it.
Love
See,
it.
there you go. That's it.
You can tell you're the creative here, Ian. I like it. I like it. Right, gents, please, I'll open the floor up to you. Please plug the podcast. Anything that you any shout outs you want to give, feel free. The stage is yours.
When you go, Ian.
Average Bikers in the Cave podcast, please look us up, sign up, subscribe, listen to us. If you've enjoyed our chat here, there's way more of that shite over when we talk. So, you know what I mean? Please do come on, listen, and every now and again you get one of my epic rants, which is always just a joy to behold. So please, I'm sure the links and everything will be sitting around.
Absolutely.
Many places to click and point at and copy into your browser bar. So click, point, and copy wherever you want to click, point, and copy to, and hopefully get some joy out of listening to this podcast and also the 30 odd that we've got sitting in as a back catalogue currently. So please do. Thank you.
And again, we tend not to deviate as much, you know what I mean, on a rain show, but I don't know, for whatever reason tonight we just have deviated quite a bit, but it's still the same level of Crayola that we talk about on our show. So
exactly.
If you're still
we wax lyrical about it.
I genuinely, lads, I'm quite envious of the setup you boys have. You know, the two of you are mates and you have great banter between the two of you, great patter, and I do often wish like I had like a co-host, you know, on this podcast, because a lot of the time if I don't get a guest lined up, I sit here and I think, well, I can't really do it with just me. I'll do like a live stream and it's just me. But it'd be nice to have, you know, somebody else there to batter the conversation off of.
And the live streams move that quick. Do you know what I mean? Because I've tuned into the live stream and it's just like, and the question, and folk are just firing stuff on, and then people start talking to each other on it, and you're going, for fuck's sake. And it's just,
it's just crazy.
It is nuts. It is nuts. But yeah, folks, if you've enjoyed the patter tonight, then make sure you check out Average Bikers in a Cave. As Ian said, check out the show notes if you listen to the podcast, or if you're watching the vid, have a look at the vid description. There'll be links there for them there. So make sure you give them a like, a follow, subscribe, all of the above. Right, lads, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I've been coughing and spluttering in the background.
Sorry.
It's been an absolute pleasure. And looking forward to...
You can get man flu down Zoom, can you?
We'll find out. We'll find out. Right, look after yourselves, guys. All right. Thanks again for coming on.
Folks, thank you, man.
Hope you've enjoyed this one, folks. Keep doing your thing. Get on out there whenever you can. Look after those that you love. But most importantly, live your life. Woo-ha. Cheers, boys. Nice one.